them for all Salon people and then party them. Sarah Media will be bringing you a variety of programs ranging from documentaries to discussions, interviews, news, views, sports, and entertainment. Our programs will contain matters on development, governance, the economy, and issues that are of importance to Sierra Leone. So, no left BNO because we get Bebe program then like Salon discussion, meets the ministers, the President's Hour and the Gladi program, Look Me, I Look You. All this they start soon na www.sarahjmedia.org. Now who's tem these?
Mina Yvonne Akisoya, and 11th May 2021 make me 3 years where I don't day in office. I say let I come and tell Freetonians them una boku tenki for where una elect me and wanna give me this mandate for serve una. But I not just want to tell una thank you for when I elect me, I want to tell una thank you for what una don't work with me and work with the councillors, work with the staff of Freetown City Council, work with so many stakeholders, including the central government, the international partners, the local partners. I want to tell una, the Freetonians, and thank you, but I want to tell all the other groups and the boku tenki. Together, we embark on a journey for transform Freetown, and in nobody not been say it go easy. We published the plan in January 2019, and then in January 2020, we published our first year report, and then in January 2021, we don't publish with 2-year report. Inside the reports and day, you go able for read in much more detail, waiting we don't achieve. But family them, I still I just share today some of the things that really make me heart gladdy pan this walk here. One thing we're really glad about, now the wastewater treatment plant where we don't build na King Tom. This na the first time ever in the history of Salon for let we get the thing we come on with toilet. Instead of it just gonna grow na King Tom, it actually they go into a plant where they get for separate the solid from the liquid and get for treat them and waiting get for come out can go towards manure. It can now be safely the liquid can now safely be disposed into the waterways. Another practical thing we are so glad for, now this urban farming project, we bring over 300, in fact we start with 300, now we add another 200 women them, we now at them backyard them and in community level, particularly in the private communities.
And you can create this, where you give, the okra they come up, they will plant them.
The women they do farming projects where go benefit them picking them for get more nutritious food, but it go also help them for get small thing at the end as they sell them in the market. And then their nursery school. Family then go no say we been not open the one at Congo Water Market for make vulnerable women them and then young picking it under the age of 5 get free quality preschool care. And now we dip and build the second one. We do refurbishment upstairs in the Colonial Road Market, and that facility will be open and available to women and men traders inside Colonial Road Market. Tricycles. Well, then tricycle and they not only then they help for keep we city clean, they also they create employment. We don't create so far over 1,200 jobs with young people then where they go and collect dirty na the streets. And now we get 90 more where they come on stream. So I'm so happy because it increased the capacity for collect dirty. At the same time, it increased the number of people them, young people that we get work. Let not talk and not talk about the transfer station when I did the dirty then they go. So we don't get 4 additional ones, including the one at Lumley, the one at Approved School, the one at Shell, and the one at Allentown. Bele Uman them. Then they all over the community. That journey for going to PCMH, it can challenge Boko of them. So we work for upgrade 5 of we PHUs them for make them be monk side with side Bele Uman they able for born. Freetown people, then Boku people, then no say dog na challenge na this city. And so we don't start a program for sterilize, vaccinate the dogs them so that we go get control over dogs and we the ambog motaman, but we the ambog themselves. We go make we city healthier and it go reduce the risk for let people then get us sick with and call rabies. I don't share small about wait we don't do. And over these 3 years, but I just touch the Tinem Boku. I go say anybody want for no more. Also go now with Facebook page. We get Freetown City Council Facebook page. We also get Yvonne Akisoya, Mayor of Freetown. You go able for follow we. Let we continue for work together with all we stakeholders for let collectively we transform Freetown. Una, thank you and God bless you.
The total population of Sierra Leone in 2019 was stated approximately at 7.8 million. And the most common cancer reported in 2018 was breast cancer, with an incidence rate of 25.1% and a mortality rate of 19.2%. Ward 2 at the Connaught Hospital, Freetown, is a female surgical ward that cares for patients requiring breast surgery, chemotherapy, and palliative care. General surgery also admits to the ward as see fit. The ward is in need of a significant refurbishment and has a major impact on patient assessment and delivery of treatment, dignity, comfort, and infection control measures. The current ward area presents a significant challenge to infection control. There is no fit for purpose or adequate personal hygiene facilities. The showers and sanitary areas are in poor condition and are difficult to clean. The flooring is deteriorated. Overall deco and fabric of the walls need repair and full decoration. Furniture, cupboards, and shelving require replacement. The sluice, known to be the dirty utility room, is in poor condition and needs replacing. Windows need to be replaced as current windows bring in draughts, dust, debris, mosquitoes, and rodents. There is no designated area to provide a day service for patients receiving chemotherapy. Medical supplies is desperately needed. Therefore, we need a total amount of £15,000, which is equivalent to 195 million leones, for this project. This project will focus on women diagnosed with breast cancer and other non-malignant breast abnormalities requiring one or more of the treatment modalities that are currently available. We will also set up a day unit for the administration of chemotherapy and provide training and development to ensure sustainability. Therefore, I am pleading to all individuals, organizations, and local businesses, and every Sierra Leonean and friends of Sierra Leone to make a meaningful contribution that will never go in vain. Ways to contribute will be seen at the end of this clip. I am Aissata Cissé Jallow of the Health Show Partnership Program. Remember, your health is your wealth.
Hello, Fambulem. Ona, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and good night, depending on whose partner the world you find yourself. Welcome to CRGM Media. We Tuesday program, Zooming In. Today, na Zooming In special. Me, Ona host as always, na Juma Ba. And again, my co-host, of course, Sylvester Tiboy Duba. And we technical director, Mr. Obafemi Pama. Today we get a full house for Ona, and I'm sure CRGM Media never disappoints. Today we take them to another level, and the conversation not just limited to Sierra Leone, but to the continent and how Sierra Leone, involve and how it affects we or how it impact in we own lives then, because we say we are all interconnected. And to Una viewers, then we say, welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you so much for being avid followers of CRGM Media, both on Facebook as well as on YouTube. And to the newcomers, then, we welcome Una again and hope say Una go stay and Una will continue for enjoy. And as always, Una feedback and suggestions, them matter. Because now that will make we continue for tell the African stories. We platform, we say African stories told by Africans. So, and we mean that when we say Africans, not necessarily mean say you get for say use yourself to African man, but as long as you identify with or get some kind of connection. So there, keep the chat clean. You can disagree. You can be passionate about your views, but please, as always, waiting make we unique from a lot different from a lot of platforms. Now that we want to keep the conversation lively, but clean. No attack we guest them, as well as you comping viewers them as well. Okay, T-Boy, welcome to today's program, and it's going to be an exciting day. Because we get big alejo de naya, and it will be fun, educative, and informative. Say hello to Fambulem and tell what you expect for today's program, please.
Fambulem na kushe cabo welcome. Now the layouts, now the script, now they enjoy. So make I do a script.
Yes.
The layouts
it's
nice.
So colorful today, isn't it?
You see some kind concept of age, irony, conflicts, resolution, everything. So the platform that it is right now, amazing. Well done to Femi for giving us that sort of layout, because when you have 2, 4, 6, 8 panels of great people sitting down and talking about things like this, remarkable. So my own looking forward to the show today is out of context. Because not just say we land today, but we can forget more than what we bargained for. So for sure, today's show is going to be an exciting one with much knowledge, because I see the graded version of knowledge. It starts from me from the bottom, they begin go up. So that at the level of what should I say? The level of competency we get on the platform today is a range, and when you see the rainbow, the one person will look like the oldest, and actually the youngest.
Well, what I expect from you today, T-Boy? Now, for me, you engage the two platforms, them, YouTube and Facebook. Monitor and try for make sure, say, you pen down the questions and the comments, them talking points we will share with we guess them, so at least them be segue before no waiting at the feedback where they happen there.
Sure, definitely.
Thank you so much. I see even Mr. Obafemi Pama himself day today in a some kind. Can you answer yourself and tell family I do quick before we introduce we guest them for today's program? All right. Say Femi always the bluff. They make pattern for us, therefore do extra ceremony before we come on here. Yes, sir. All right, thank you so much, Femi, and definitely I'll try to make sure we not disappoint. Fambulem, like we introduce when I see we topic, we say Africa Day 2021. Africa Day. So they ask themselves, so we can get Africa Day. I know say beaucoup people would ask that question, why Africa Day? We will get the answer now, so I believe, or we will get some information, we will lead with to that answer day. And, you know, apart from the topic, we say, levers for building the Africa we want. We take an extract from the actual theme for this year's celebration. The theme say art, culture, and heritage, levers for building the Africa we want. But what make we do, you know, from a production point of view, we feel say a box we want say arts, culture, and heritage. But we want for things say, are there other levers for building the Africa we want? Whose kind of Africa will you look forward to? Whose kind of Africa you want? So another question do they ask. We talk about Africa, who are the host them? We know say, we hear about Africa Union now. Before Africa Union, the name was Organization of Africa Unity. All the way in 1963. They changed the name in 2002 to African Union. And why important? Because you go there and say, why Salon? Because Salon was part of the 32 countries them we form the African Union. But I don't go into details. I go into this, we guess them, and they're more qualified for talk to you about this topic. I will start with the regular on this platform, the cow foot prince, Yusuf Ujalo. Say hello to Fambule.
Yeah, greetings everybody. Nse bena, wali bena. Mande, mpiari seke bua, jara magoi, nakabo nakushe. I'm glad for dinner also, and I think this is a very important topic for me we talk about. And I'm sure by the time we this evening done, we go don't learn a lot from this. And for me, the way we get for look at this whole thing, I want to start with this simple parable. Who gets na say alone? Fet for you aid make you foot cover. Fet for you aid make you foot cover. For me, now along that line there, I want to take my whole topic, go down the way, don't find and see how all of that relate to the whole idea of the African Union, Africa Day, and what in that all of that mean, the OAU and so on. What all of that mean, and I'm sure I can't wait for just exchange ideas and learn more from the other panelists that were here.
Well, thank you so much, and we get another, where I would say semi-regular on this platform, as well when the man himself, Israel Ojeke Papa Senior. Welcome, sir. In always there at the chat group, in a challenge we. So we can do research before we come online. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate all you support. And we can make the discussion lively. Say hello to Fambulem for the first time sitting here, as part of our panel, as far as I can remember though.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, viewers. And thank you very much, Juma and Femi and our street boys. I'm glad for David tonight. I was so pleased to get. We should have been given a little bit more notice, but anyway, what is it? It is. So we're going to sit down and talk with you. We'll talk Africa Day.
Yeah,
a big day, and today the real day, 25th of May.
Yeah.
Well, second part I would say, because AU coming on the 25th of May, 2002. Yeah. Without OAU, Organization of Africa Unity. I mean, this top-down begin from way back in the late 50s, before states in Africa begin getting independent. And you think of breakaway from the empires, the British Empire, the French and all that. People can get freedom. But freedom, I think we can something, if you know, manage freedom, free can make you go down.
It go turn out that well. I know I'll let the cat out of the bag gate. I will hold and the force.
Okay.
Then we go introduce with third guest, and then we will come start the program proper. Wait to make us save this important guest today, because CRGM media evolve to whatever it is today. It gets in your role where it play for mold them. He's a mentor, somebody we admire, somebody we meet the land from, someone where you team up for talk to. You they learn a lot more than you go learn at university for 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. And he is, as we other panelists, them very passionate about Africa. And he want to make sure, say, Africans get the opportunity, seize the opportunity for build the continent. He believe in the Africa prosperity. He's a journalist, a broadcaster, a writer, African historian, art and culture, and also he's a land book na salon. And can you imagine, when may you they run away come out Africa for come, in don't run away come out Europe for return and go base na Africa, say, at the walk, the talk. We guests, Mr. Ade Darame, welcome. We appreciate you that you took time all the way from the Smiling Coast, right?
Ade na Gambia, the Smiling Coast.
Then at the Smiling Coast of the Republic of Gambia. Welcome and say hello to Fambule, sir.
Yeah, Fambule, I appreciate. And when I come to Gambia, I take over as head of news on the main TV channel, QTV. But one of the things they want to tell all my staff, I say every day, you get to try to learn something new. We go enrich your life and enrich you. I'm not talking about financially, mentally. Learn something new every day. And I'm motto that. And part of this discussion, I hope I go learn something new. We go enrich my own life. And in terms of Sierra Gem Media, this now we country Diamond Jubilee of independence. So it's fitting that Sierra Gem, diamond being one of the most precious gems, and we don't see how Sierra Gem don't evolve over the years. Every Sierra Leonean we're proud of which one they do, and honestly we're proud of things like this. So really looking forward to the evening very much.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Darame, for representing the green, white, and blue all the way in our sister country, the Gambia, doing what you do best and which you believe in. And I like what I see at the back. Black is beautiful, So it's like how T-Boy say no more. It can prepare and everybody else the platform. So we go start and open the, with the topic itself, because so they start, then we allow the program for, evolve. We know they set questions. Yusuf Jallo, you see the theme. Africa Day. For me, the question is, why we going to get special day for Africa? Why we going to celebrate Africa Liberation Day, Africa Freedom Day? Why should it be like that? We not get European Day, we not get other continent as far as me can remember, but a day for a continent, what does that mean? And why would they celebrate it? What's the significance really?
I think it's very important for, and say, this, any South you see smoke, fire, day.
Right.
So basically, if we talk about Africa Day, it's just according to Black History Month. It simply means that something else has been denied fundamentally, and so we talk of Africa Day. The one important thing we are noticed in plenty of my travels, and I'm sure the other panelists could probably attest to this, that anywhere around the world you go, including other African countries, you African man, black man, now you're not the only one we get for justify your reason for day at that particular area there. Even in your own country self, you get for justify your reason for the day. So we tend for, if we look at now in the grander scale of things in the world, it's like they say, we Africans, now we get for justify your reason why we couldn't have this planet Earth. Even though now we're not the oldest, even though according to the one that we don't study the how they call them, the archaeologists and all that, and they don't study paleontologists, then big word than they all we don't study go tell we say all man originate from Africa man, from black man, and so then go say. Well, if that's not the case, what to make now we for justify we self for dinner this earth? So we get something like what they call Africa Day. To me, it not makes sense, but we get for talk more about it, and I go give you for sure why make it not even make sense for talk about Africa Day. Because as soon as you talk about Africa, you need to talk about humanity, you need to talk about the recognition of humanity per se. So, and to say that, then it's like I say, you look mortal man over and you divorce yourself for say, me no to mortal man. Now don't recognize mortal man, then they this why so. And then they, to me, it throw light on even the one themselves where the Sidom and push for make we get what we call this Africa Day.
Okay.
To me, it's about celebration about Africa. It's about celebrating the whole humanity per se. But I'm not saying Notre Dame will necessarily come for. We want to look at this specific.
Well, again, the opening, fine, and definitely we come to the main topic for look at the Africa we want for build, what we need. Yeah, but let me just lay that foundation. At least let people get some kind of context into it. Israel, over to you, sir. The same question.
Yes. Following from Yusuf's brilliant introduction, I think recognize a day aside for Africa is an opportunity to reflect. Everybody putting attention as a one time year time for reflect on ourselves as Africans. You say man proposes, God disposes. Everybody gets plans, and then suddenly we can forget we said, we think, oh, yeah, this day we'll do this, we'll do this. One man becomes selfish. But this day, Africa Day, gives the opportunity and the chance where we all think back, like how I just talk about the 25th anniversary, the jubilee of the 68th anniversary of Salon. We recognize that particular milestone. So when the day come back, even if we don't forget, as things go up and down, we forget about the bad, we forget about the good. But we remember when the day particular 25th come. This today in a reflection. So that is what I think about it. And it gives all of us to think as Africans rather than as individuals or individual countries or individual sections of Africa. So I think that is the fundamental basic thought when we go put towards that definition of Africa Day.
All right, thank you so much, Israel. So I'll go to Adi Dagami. Of course, you passion for the country. How does the collab? We last conversation at weeks in some 10 years back. I know with the and all of that, but we'll go to that. So what's your
Yeah, I mean, me now one of the ones where they actually celebrate the day, and they celebrate in memory of the founding fathers of the independence of Africa. And I then come up with the idea, for a very good reason, because as Africans, we don't like make people in a lump into one, just Africa, because Africa is. But one thing where we get in common now is the struggle for independence. Now, the one thing that we unite with, apart from Ethiopia, we nobody not ever colonized. Every other African country fought independence struggle for liberate themselves. And so when they come up with this day, they want make we think about that factory. Say we shed blood, sweat, tears for make life. And on a daily routine day we get in common. So that they really now one of the driving factors we make them come up. I make me can all celebrate the day.
Well, again, I'll come and say, this just lead way again. We talk about struggle, blood, sweat, and tears. I want to relate them to Sierra Leone, and this particular day is significant now. We own history. May 25, we had a coup where, changed Salon history small. The 1997 military coup. The NSF contributes to a lot of things, and lives were lost, and we get to remember. So if I did a talk, that's all part of the African struggle, because we don't struggle for gain independence. Yusuf don't highlight how, then detach we from normal humanity. We celebrate the Day of the African Child as well, all kind of activity for connect with Africa. Anyway, but let's go to, when we do the synopsis, Femi craft some questions, and I want to follow we focus on the first one. Adi, I'll come to you, then we'll go back as we start. Femi asks, he says, has Africa achieved the target set by our pan-Africanist mentors? Because the reason we make I ask you as a follow-up, because you say they recognize and celebrate the day, and then we get our objective. Africa so far.
Absolutely. In fact, when I see the 4 questions, they joke with me, staff. I said, this is going to be a very short talk. You can say yes, yes, and no to the questions. But for going in depth, really, if just recently, as in 2 weeks ago, I write an article for the BBC, and it was called Kenneth Who? And it was about Kenneth Kaunda. The fact that of all the African liberation leaders from the 1960s, he's the only one still alive. And he turned 97. And on his 97th birthday, I decided to write this article. But before I wrote the article, I went around and asked people here and online, did they know him? And if they did know him, did they know he was still alive? Many, to my shock, were under 30, had never even heard of him, which for somebody like myself was quite shocking, because I am of that generation where we actually learned the names of every single African liberation leader, be it Sekou Touré, Leopold Sedar Senghor, Kwame Nkrumah, Olympio, Fulbert, First, Congo, what is now Congo, was the first country to have a priest as a president. Not many people even know that. So I was really quite shocked that so few people. Just a minute, guys, I'm on the Zoom.
You understand the ambience, it's all part of it, Yeah.
I know, it's drowning out. Yeah, so I was really quite shocked that when I asked school children, they weren't being taught about this in schools. And so that made me think that, in answer to this first question, has it achieved the targets? It's a mixed bag. There are some countries that have achieved it, but many have missed it by quite a wide margin. Just yesterday, for example, not going back to the 60s, but 1993, it depends. Eritrea has 2 independence days. They have 1991, the day they declared independence, and the same day, 24th of May, 1993, was when they passed a referendum that was 99% saying that they should make 24th of May the Independence Day. So they have 2 days. But there was an article by one of the guys who fought in the war of liberation against Ethiopia. And he was saying that their dreams have been trampled in the dust because they thought they were fighting for a multi-party democracy. They were fed up of being stepped upon by Ethiopia. And now, ever since independence, it's been a kind of Marxist one-party state. And in fact, one of the kind of few other than North Korea. And, they were talking about the disappointment. And that disappointment is echoed in many, many countries across the African continent. As I said, we don't like to be lumped in a single bag. But some of the things that we have in common are things like coup d'etats, somebody might correct me, but I think the last country in West Africa to have a coup d'etat was Ivory Coast, and that was in like 1999. As late as that. So for many of us, you say, has Africa achieved the targets? And actually, the targets were quite high when we talk about Pan-African mentors. And not every person who was an independence leader was necessarily a Pan-African, but most of them were. And they didn't kind of stop in the 60s. We tend to think of the whole rash of nations that became independent in the 1960s, 1960 and 61 particularly. But even as late as 1975, when Cape Verde became independent, Cape Verde and Guinea-Bissau led to independence by Amilcar Cabral. The reason why Cape Verde is probably the most progressive nation in the whole of Africa, and I challenge anybody with that statement, is because they are the ones who are following Amilcar Cabral's tenet. He said that we will educate ourselves to show that these Portuguese who have ruled us and stepped upon us for centuries, we will show them that we can take charge of our own affairs. Right. And so Cape Verde now has second highest education rate in Africa. 88% can read and write. Other countries can only dream about that, in so many ways. So in terms of have we achieved the targets, you could probably name 4 or 5 countries that have hit the targets, but most of them have missed it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Yusuf Jallo, do you agree, or what do you want to add? And do you have a different perspective on this whole, Africa Day and the target itself?
Well, I think that, I agree with Mr. Darami, because definitely there's many targets we have not met. And but there's another angle I want to look at is that what was the legacy that was left for us, that led eventually to the formation of the OAU, and of course today what we call the AU. One of the major legacy that was left is a two-track system, and this is just my own terminology here. It's a two-track system. This two-track system would then left for we. The one we set up by the colonial guys them. But in then left, then law system, so then a culture of their own law, a culture of their own way of running economics, a culture of their own social system, how for dress, how for talk, the language and all that, then left that. Then alongside that, we get indigenous political, culture, social system, all we also been the run as well. So Britain then get what they call indirect rule. France then say assimilation. And these are very important entities them for understand, for make would give for address why make would they look Africa Day today, and why make would not able for will not still not able to achieve some of the things then way we set for, or which were set forward by Kwame Nkrumah, Amilcar Cabral and all these people in 1963. A very importantly, we know waiting then two system yaso mean. And the Bible is say a house divided against itself will not stand. So when you set up a two system like this one, automatically they don't set up the platform for make we continue for fail all the time. Like I go back to the very first statement we make about fet for you aid, make you foot cover. I just broke that one, the small for we people them to understand. What now we aid? Fet for you aid. You aid, now then you carry your intelligence, your talent, knowledge, everything, direction, you carry everything up your soul. So we people then say fet for you aid. It not say smile for you aid, oh. It not say joke for you aid. Fet for you aid. Among the Yoruba people them, then say this among the Ifa, the one the way they practice Ifa, then say Pikin before it dey born na the wall. The last thing where the Pikin they go choose for make it come na the wall, na in ori, in aid. Na in they go choose her, na in tool, na in gift, na in they use for can walk na this planet Earth. So fet for you aid make you foot cover. So then what's na the foot? When you don't fet for the intelligence, you don't fet for knowledge. You aid carry your crown. So when we talk of Africa there and we talk of the OAU, we're talking of sovereignty. You aid, now you sovereign, now you sovereignty. Now then you carry, as I say, we'll talk of we mind and all that stuff. Now, when you carry knowledge, where you know knowledge, or if let me put it this way, if you know the roadway for Waka go, elect na net safe, how dark that road they be, because you know the road, not ever for one day. You foot safe, not so, you foot go Waka fine because you know the road. When you don't know the road, elect the place a bright like a waiting safe. You go, if not now lost, you will lost your way if you know for them, because you still don't know. So knowledge, very, very important. So, and more importantly as well, is that you need to forget a focused knowledge about yourself and also your goal day. Very, very clear. So clarity of purpose, very important for make we succeed. But when we can left with a two system, one way entirely dominate, we say na him na the only one who for Falamakata. But where to a large extent, no get no semblance to what we day about, whether physically, biologically, not really there anything about what we're about. Now we're confused now. So constantly with the clash with we self. So we as African people, it's like I say, we they look we self over yonder and say, no, not to me that one day, now me this. So it means we're not able to go one straight direction. So if we take the OAU, at the very formation of the OAU, there were already divisions. You know, you get the Monrovia, they call it the Monrovia group, and so on. They, you know, one they were aligned with the American them and the British. They get the other one they were aligned with Russia and so on, and socialism and so on. Late President Stevens was another type of man with a socialist idea. Same with Ahmed Sekou Touré, Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, and all these other people. But they were also conflicting with the French leaders them, who were thinking more in a capitalist kind of way, but also with the French. So this kind of division, two-tier system where they already been on set a platform for make we fail. But with all of that, of course, there is progression, which of course we can talk about later on. There's other points we want to bring, but let's just stop at this point first for say that way the force as see this whole thing.
Thank you so much, Fet, for Idle Futkobalo, go to Israel. And of course, you know, how all of this relates to Sierra Leone as well, because like I say, if we not been part of, you know, drawing all this, we say we get responsibility if we not succeed as a continent, or if we been succeed, we say being for say kudos to ourselves. So how you see Africa achieve, you know, the targets and Salon, of course, little members on 1041 the way with the young one the way no say Salon hosts the OAU summit, right? In 1980. Right. So over to you, Israel.
Good. The point is, as the OAU, I mean, the consciousness started.
Right.
I'll bring two names inside. I didn't mention one of them, Kwame Nkrumah. Well, the first one I want to talk about is Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey formed the first black, I encourage the black man therefore look for their cultural heritage and their traditions and their history. A form which may call the Universal Negro Improvement Association in 1914. You go get the history that man had so much influence on part of the emigration to Liberia, including Dr. Blyden. Dr. Blyden was, I think he was, he stood in front of the cathedral in Washington and made a big speech when they refused to accept him in theological training. So he left school in Liberia. He become a Liberia minister, whatever, then can be ambassador in England. Then he go back before he eventually end up in Sierra Leone. And that cultural identity transformed into the other leaders of Africa will come up. And that meet up with Kwame Nkrumah. I just want to give you one short portion of Kwame Nkrumah. Coach, I left Kwame Nkrumah, I get in black. Say, unite we must, without necessarily sacrificing our sovereignty. Big or small, we can here and now forge a political union based on defense, foreign affairs, and diplomacy, and a common citizenship, an African currency, an African monetary zone, and an African central bank. We must unite in order to achieve the full liberation of our continent. We need a common defense system with an African high command to ensure the stability and security of Africa. Now, when you listen to that powerful speech, you can see that there are smart targets there, that targets, smart goals to achieve. It was a very heavy burden on Africans. Can we achieve it? When you teach management, you know about smart targets. And you see, a target must be measurable and achievable. And the target must also be realizable. And there should be time. Okay, but we do not have this time. I say, did our founding fathers aim too high, too much? Because within the first few years, when this discussion came after implementing Marcus Garvey ideas about keeping our culture, keeping our traditions, you find out, say, 23 people, 23 in the very first 2-3 years, 23 African states get independent between 58 and 60, including we. Ghana was the first one in Africa. Then we followed 2 years after, 2 years after. But Nigeria followed before we, 1 year before we. The point is, what we're saying here is, achieving these high ideals, even too big for we. We don't get independence now, we don't scatter all manner independent states. We don't get that cohesiveness anymore as one. So that is the focus which Kwame Nkrumah and people like, you forgot one name, a big name, Ali, Jomo Kenyatta. People like that. And I'm so pleased you mentioned Kenneth Kaunda, who was still alive, a musician like myself, and he's still playing guitar. When I get to clip where he's playing guitar for a week. I swear that it was nice. Now, Jomo Kenyatta, I was privileged. If I mean, Akibo said, Akibo be there at the time in the East. When Jomo Kenyatta, not Jomo Kenyatta, said when Kaunda, yeah, he had a service at the church of Piccadilly. I was in the service. He had his white handkerchief shaking it, and still, I was so pleased to be there to enjoy his sermon. He is a very religious man, and this part that I bring that on because of what Yusuf said. You have that divide, then bring to it the religion. As you can see, you hold the Bible on the gun. Get the religion on one side, and we follow their own style of religion. Of course, Sierra Leone is unique. Sierra Leone is unique. The Christians have come in from England and from Nova Scotia with the Bible and the culture. Creoles come, meeting the natives, as they put them. There's the native. In fact, even the first set of priests where they ordained in 1870, they called them the native priests, the native priests of Sierra Leone, the native priests, including our great grandpa in our country. So, I mean, these priests, they even call them the native priests. You see, there is that barrier. There's that always that divide and rule. It is the divide and rule because we not get the resources by ourselves. We have been dependent on them, even though we have independence. You talk of Sierra Leone. Have we achieved? How can we have achieved? How could we have achieved? When these people have the control, you talk of indirect rule. It was indirect rule. People don't see diamond, they don't find diamond. Long time, from the 1930s, diamonds were being mined in Colonial, shipping away. There are clips, there are video clips, black and white. I didn't good for the research today. There are video clips showing the Sierra Leone diamond being taken away. The gold in the north, when they found them, the Waitman will be in charge of lands and survey. He kept the map, hide behind the cupboard. So take commercial when he died. Now one day when they broke the building, when I found this map in the 60s, 50s, late 50s, this map don't be there from the 30s. How could we achieve? It was not in our control. The governors were powerful. They had their own members, their own appointees within the Legislative Council, the Secretariat building. Then the triumph, those who know the history of politics in Sierra Leone, God help me, I have been interested in civics. I mean, I'm one of the civic students in school. I mean, that is one subject where we excel in Eastern Civics. The point is, everything was in there. Our members didn't appoint it. We are the first black man, which is not a legislative council. You vote them, vote them. Now pick them, pick them. And that pick business, I hear people in that say, selection, not for the selection, they all about. Yes, so when they pick, England said when they pick, now pick and they pick for Buna as well. Now pick, you like or not like, not pick that my done, now go. So then pick Shaka Steven. Now pick them, pick them for making be Secretary General and the Mines Workers Union. Now pick them, pick them for let it go inside the Trade Union Congress. Where you see the way they extend, now pick them, pick them for Senator Oxford. For can learn Trade Unionism now also. Now, yeah. So this picking on day. So you wait man them. Then they take them, pick we. If you look at the kind of people that will be there, they say because we're not Creoles, we'll be there for replace the with man them. When I've been the administrative officers to the governors. They are not go too far deep. This is where Governor Dorman came in hand over. I was little and I was getting lucky. I one of the children we've been going in first Christmas party. Now that's the town. I've been small. I think I was probably 8, 9 that time. Christmas party. And I'd be lucky to meet him here while she was here. He was the president of the Anglo-Sierra Society to which I belong. But coming back to the point, this divide and rule, did we achieve what we try for achieve? We get this independence. All man try for achieve. Which will begin to say. Here which man don't want to give up the diamond. They don't want to give up the gold. They don't want to give up the oil. Nigeria get the best crude oil, but they're not getting the refinery. So they bring the refinery, can do the sales, we make refinery at all. We don't refine Nigeria or they not get refinery. So this divide and rule days. They have the resources. Can they utilize it? No. We don't even have the oil, but we can turn it in. We come to all the maintenance of waiting them in left for not able. You see? So this is the point. This cohesiveness in Africa. Coming back to patients like Cabral, you see Patrice Lumumba, you see the demise of Sylvester Olympio. These strong men, those initial men who were there. Sekou Touré, of course, when he not agree for join, then go pull all the light bulb on the street, then pull the bulb, come out and crepe the street. The French crepe the tag, come out of the street. So how can we achieve? You go, what is it? You see one box, one box in your hand shop. One box. You will not get the hand. It's too short.
Can I come in here as well? Okay.
Yusuf, coming quick, but I'll get one controversial. I want to throw in a little bit of controversy into this whole thing. Okay. For talk about this, I get there's a video where I want for we show, and yeah, but coming with your point quick whilst Femi they get that video ready. You know, okay. Just that.
All right. I want for coming the of course listening to Elder Israel as they talk about in terms of the reasons why we couldn't succeed because of the way the Europeans were, and I think that we are going to be we're dealing hopefully with what were the problems at the moment, but I hope we're able to move from the problems as it were to to where we're going further. But just to look at the problems, if we're going to address it, if we look at from 1963, the moment when they formed the OAU, like I say, the two-tier system already don't put in Wahala in. But if we look at the ideals for we make them form the OAU, we will see that some of the ideals of the OAU, or principles of the OAU, were looking at equality, and then also here's an interesting one: equality and also non-interference in the internal affairs of other nations. Now, of other member states, right? I mean, respect for the territorial integrity, blah blah blah. But who were these leaders that were leading much of these other countries? A lot of them were absolute cronies, just totally corrupt dictators in negative way. And that also played in the hands, of course, of the colonial people, because the moment each state they on their own, it means France know how to deal with Mr. Boyne, or is it Boyne? I could never pronounce his name properly. Ufo Boyne of Ivory Coast. Yes, Ufo Boyne. They know how to deal with anybody in Senegal. They know how to deal with what's his name? Thomas Sankara. So people, they're just picking everybody up. Right. So in that, to me, within the formation of the OAU was a big failure altogether. For say nobody no go interfere inside a other person you own. But we all in a family, no just left no more so. Well, which means anybody can open the remote anytime they can inside, deal with your brother, it beats and good one, do any kind of thing, but you're not able to talk for them. So the few we're beating up for talk, whether it's in Nkrumah, whether it is Ahmed Sekou Amilcar Cabral, and few people like this, me and you know how they pursue them. Of course, that's Sankara and people like this. So, but if we're going to move forward, these are things which we are going to have to address amongst ourselves. Why am I say this? The Europeans and now the Chinese, they will not relent in terms of seeking their own interest. Then go always come for can seek their interest. Lion always know for say he want wildebeest, he want fritambo, he want antelope. You know say you na antelope. You go tin up and give for decorate and do I call an face painting with lion.
Right.
No.
Olande, let's get this video up. I think that they go aid the conversation a little bit more. And low watch them, so we will for understand waiting. They but maybe we agree, maybe we disagree. When you're ready, Femi.
Diaspora news channel. Russian President Putin says Africa is a cemetery for Africans. Before you form an opinion, first let me read you the whole quote of what he said. Putin says, quote, Africa will never be independent. Africans believe in Europeans, Americans, Chinese more than themselves. They don't trust themselves at all. A white man will commit crime in Africa, but no action will be taken because Africa authorities view us as semi-gods. Far from the truth, a black man can be abducted in Europe, get harassed, or even killed, but no African authority will question. Africans present themselves as weak people with no hope, especially when dealing with Europeans and Americans. They are their own enemies. They hate each other. And that colonial masters power to continue exploiting African resources. When an African becomes rich, his bank accounts are in Switzerland. He travels to France for medical treatment. He invests in Germany. He buys from Dubai. He consumes Chinese. He prays in Rome and Mecca. His children stay in Europe. He travels to Canada, USA, Europe for tourism. If he dies, he will be buried in his native country of Africa. Africa is just a cemetery for Africans. How could a cemetery be developed? Putin asks. That's how it felt, really, hearing this from him. But let's be honest. Let's have a real conversation. Is he really wrong? Is he telling the truth or is he lying? Let's be honest with ourselves, Africans. It's time to really reflect. Let's see. Which statement he made is wrong? It sucks hearing this from another person. It sucks that somebody had a view about how we act, how we move, and said that about us publicly, and that's a leader of a nation, Russia. It's not really nice to hear that from another person. That's definitely his observation. He's entitled to his opinion, but let's talk about his opinion. Is it really wrong? His opinion is formed from what he saw. Let's be true to ourselves. Let's be honest with each other. It's sad. It's really sad. But this is what's happening right now. If we want to see the change that we want, we need to be honest with ourselves. We need to see the truth. We need to reflect, and we need to change what needs to be changed. From what Putin said, most of it is right. Let's be clear. Our leaders see the white man as semi-gods. He said it. He even said, it's not true, but you guys think we're gods. How awful is that to hear? They know their power. Get that. We believe that they are semi-gods. Don't get me wrong. Part of it is psychological. Part of it is because of colonialism. At the end of the day, it had an impact on the minds of the people, our ancestors. It left something, some scar. So without knowing it, psychologically, we're kind of colonized as well. We need to now break that chain and come out of it. That's the main thing now. We're discussing this because I think it's important, because I believe it's important. If we really look at ourselves and see where we're going wrong, we can fix it. I believe our politicians, our leaders, believe that these guys are semi-gods.
Right. Thank you so much, Femi, for bringing that up. I'll go to Ade. We listened up. I just put that for add and conversation, for tease up some point, and not necessarily say everybody go agree with the view. We don't know that's not the possible way do that there as well, or what's not the motive behind it, but we had to bring it on. It's part of the conversation. So, Mr. Darami, with that which you so end with what's happening, because you mentioned about coup d'etats. We've been feeling we don't put that behind our backs, but look at what's happening in Mali. It happened a year ago, and it just happened a couple of days ago. We see a lot of other things than where they happen at the continent. You mentioned Eritrea, what's happening in South Sudan or the Sudan, all of those places. You think, say, with all of that, are we on the right trajectory to meet the targets way from the OAU now to the AU?
Well, yes. I mean, the reason I raised a hand while the video was playing is because that video and the words contained in it is a variation. There have been about 10 or 20 of those attributed to different people, Xi Jinping and so on. And you know what is funny about it? None of them said it, not even Putin.
Right.
The people who first put that out, I challenged them because one of my journalists wanted to use it. And I said, tell me the date, the time, the place when he said it. And they couldn't, because he never said it. There have been many, many versions of that. It's total nonsense. And the only people who share it are Africans. Because it's like we have an obsession with wanting to hear bad things about ourselves and denigrating ourselves. And so it gets shared on African forums. I challenge anybody on this forum, if you can find where and when Putin said that, I will give you £1,000.
So that's the challenge for everyone, you on the chat group as well.
Please, if you want to earn £1,000, go and find where and when he said it.
Yeah, 1 second. I did talk that word. That word, it affects the Leoneans terribly.
Right. So,
Rebecca just say the point what I want to make here.
Okay.
All those don't grow up. Maybe don't pass. Maybe leave the term. But youngsters don't grow up with this knowledge. Yusuf don't use that in the one day. Don't actually argue that in the one show I've been here. Shaka Steven say, "Outside the entire cow, now eat them with grass." I don't challenge certain people them openly and personally. Show me, just like they say, the time, the date, the side way in Bhutan. Also, you've been there, way and talker. Then take that thing and turn and put it to Momo. When Momo don't die, then begin Sheba now. One thing you go here and say that Shakazibi say, even right this week, somebody criticize the country, the current government, but when they stop, then they must bring Shaka Stephen say, it's been on put and say, who said the entire cow with grass. I heard it about 3 times last week.
Right.
Where did he say it? When did he say it? And where were you?
Right. So waiting down the land we now. Let's go back to the
yes. I mean, in fact, the reason I raised my hand was that it teaches us something about ourselves and how we feel about ourselves. And in fact, the point I was going to make even before that video, and it was to be slightly controversial, is that we have an obsession with unity. It's interesting, when Israel was talking, he mentioned about did they set the targets too high? And I've been doing a thing where I've gone through all the African countries and I've looked at their national motto. Our own is unity, freedom, and justice. You know, how many of those things do we have in our country? In Cape Verde is unidad, trabajo, progreso. So unity, work, progress. And they've achieved that. But the concept of Africa is a construct that is not of our making. And yet we're fighting to unite as Africa in the African Union, and before that, the Organization of African Unity. And that's why I said, the reason I celebrate the day is that even though we're so different and so diverse, you know, the borders that we now fight for, those were borders imposed on us. You know, if you were to say, Usaina Fulamanden country, you'd be talking about 10 or 12 countries. Usaina Madinga Manden country, there's against 10, 12, 15 countries. But now we say, oh no, I'm from Mali, I'm from Senegal, I'm from Guinea, I'm from Sierra Leone. We're fighting to kind of justify the borders that were imposed on us by the colonialists, including this whole thing about, you know, the kind of African unity that we're seeking. And the thing is, in a sense, we're kind of giving in and say, you know what, we didn't construct it, but let's utilize it, let's deal with it. And that's what the founding fathers were trying to do, because even they believed, they knew that it wasn't of their making. But it's like, we've been left with this, let's deal with it. And, you know, earlier Israel was talking about, you know, we're talking about 1963. But one of the biggest conferences before 1963 was in 1948 in London.
Right.
Where all the African colonies, including people from Sierra Leone, came. It was just after the war. They had fought and they were told they were fighting for freedom, only to go back to their countries and find out they were being ruled by people who were not from their countries. Ella Koblo Gulama was somebody who attended that 1948 conference. Anybody who follows me on Twitter or on Facebook will see I posted all the pictures because the British press was so fascinated by her. They spoke to her. She was debonair, she was intelligent, she was elegant, and they were like, wow, this woman is African. And so she was all over the newspapers in London, and particularly, and I've shared them on Facebook and anybody, as I said. But there were people from every African country, including from the French colonies, interestingly enough, who came to that conference, actually. And what did they come for? To unify as a body, because they all had experienced the same bitter experience. They had fought for these white people in the Second World War. They were told they were fighting for freedom, only to go back and be treated like second and third class citizens in their own countries. And that's what they did not want. That's why they came together in that country. And it was quite ironic that they decided to hold the conference in London, not in any African country. So kind of funny enough. But, you know, those were some of the things that led inevitably to the kind of independence struggle, to the independent fight, and the realization that we have, despite our diversity, and I keep going back to the diversity, despite the diversity, there's a common thread that runs through, and that is the struggle. We have that in common.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, before we go to the, continue on that second question, are we on the right trajectory to meet the target with the forefathers then set as part of which we celebrate Africa Day today? For make sure say the struggle yield the benefit for the common good. I'll go to Tiboile, tell we how the forums them they do, and if there are questions there, we sometimes will help aid the conversation forward. Tiboile, over to you. Both on YouTube and Facebook. What are you seeing there?
By the pace of the conversation, I think is getting very much interesting, and it gets two or three different views of what we all think about the African Union and why it was formed and the way it is actually going. But I think my opinion on that, I kind of agree with Yusuf in the initial start where he say, why do we have to celebrate as Africans? And can somebody tell me when is the European Day? Or can somebody tell me when is the Asian Day? Or can somebody tell me when is the Australian Day? So basically, I think going back to celebrate the African Day, it means we are still celebrating something that we have fought for. I don't think we should be celebrating that, because as far as I'm concerned, we are now a continent that is within the reach of proximity to everything that relates to Europe. We have the rich minerals, the rich resources, the rich everything that we can solely deal with in our own capacity and thrive to be one of the developing nations in the world. I listened to Kigami a couple of days ago online whilst he was making some statements about what is the models of what Rwanda stands for. And he says, we don't follow rules. And I'm thinking, what do you follow if you don't follow rules? We follow options and views and what we believe in. So basically, we make views of what we believe in and then we follow those. Because if we follow the rules, rules is being made by people. And those rules can be changed. But if you follow the views or your options of what you have in between what you're doing, it means any option that you choose, which is choices, that he says specifically, we follow choices. And those choices that we make will be our own advantage and disadvantages, which is what Africans are doing right now anyway. The choices that we make to follow what we want to follow is down to our advantage and disadvantages. And what we do make choices on, most of the things we make choice about are the ones that are not in favor of us. So our choices are responsible for our actions that we make in life. So going back to the discussion, I think what we have online is very interesting because people are making statements on what is happening currently within the Mali Empire and also what is happening within other regions of the world. In regards to the video that you played, I think that video has its own perception. To me, there might be a lot of realities in what that video is talking about, but is it really coming from those people? Just like Ade said, when was this statement made by these people? And so basically, I will not really go down to the platform of saying to myself, well, yes, Putin said that. But that video refers to some of the real issues that we go through as Africans, some of the real issues that we face as Africans and our leaders and the people that are meant to be developing the nation. That is what they are capable of doing, or that is what they have done in the past. So then they kind of mix the mindset of young Africans growing up. So when we see that as an example, it means we don't have a choice. We don't have options. We don't really think and believe in the African unity to say we can grow. It's very ironic for me to realize why was the OAU formed in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is possibly one of the most developed African countries, but not really projected to all Africans to know that. Wow. So when they talk about Ethiopia is the farming, oh, these people have gone through X, Y, Z, Z, Z. But if you look at Ethiopia, it's one of the most developed African nations. They have possibly the highest amount of airlines in Africa, but it's not been projected in that form. So now I know the reason why the OAU was formed in Ethiopia, because it was the only country that gained independence without fighting or giving it to them. They fought. So
colonized, kind of. You know.
They were not really actually colonized by any nation. So it makes a difference.
By Italy.
So it makes a difference.
Italy tried, but failed.
Yeah. So they actually fought for it. It wasn't give it to them like, okay, we can't gain independence, we can't go, look, we'll go sit on a table. So that's the difference. So it was the template for other African nations to know or to see the reason why Ethiopia is the basis. But like Ade said, most of these things have not been taught to younger Africans. So we are blinded to some reality of what Africa has gone through.
It comes back to the same thing where Yusuf Jallo say, "Fet for you, edle you foot cover," you know. And
yeah, I agree with Yusuf in concept for "Fet for you, edle you foot cover," but that's an individual achievement. Fet for you, aid. Yeah, well, to me, I could have changed that to say,
no. I gotta come in here. I gotta come in with that one.
Okay.
I want to make a comment on the video on what about the payments overseas. By if you can allow me,
go ahead, Israel. Quickly.
I mean, before I lost the point. Yeah. The video they talk about. I mean, I am not concerned about who said it.
What? Right.
I am concerned about the context.
Right.
Whatever the lady say, I don't hear that thing several times. And sometimes some of these audios and videos, I can listen to them. I don't take too much of the people within the attributes, the concept. No, I take what the value of what is said. Now, I have been privileged to work as a banker back in Sierra Leone and in the UK, in the city. And I know what I saw throughout my period of 36 years. I know what I saw within the States. Even the money they went and they give we as grants and aids and whatnot, before it finally gets to the destination, it come to we. And me particularly work in transfers. It come to we. Then get away those days, it don't slack now. But Europe now, Switzerland and all that, they get different laws and different rules now where they attract them kind of theft, but it still go on. Then money, then they hold on first, then they put on a special account, numbered account. You know, they see the name of the people. Unless if you dey inside, we dey inside there, now you will know say that number and they attribute to that person. They get a false name, like the other person. You cannot call to name them because sometimes in professionalism became one of them. This is the thing. So when the money comes, then they keep on for like 7 days or 14 days. Then a special account. We get high interest. The full amount will carry the physical cash, the amount, the principal amount, it go. Oh yes, we longer 140 million. Yes, now you get. Almost days it come with my transit. Almost days it in a special account. Almost interest again. That interest in the pocket. They in hand with managers and it is like that. Today, I mean that presidents of Liberia, Ghana, people we have no names. We get them transaction then one day we with them, you know, make coupon and okay, like we have to deny the security. When the team boss, the number come on. The number that we see them. We know person when I'm a friend, we all work as particular individual place. When the money come, you have to then the fly come out there, then can they do shopping. Careful, carry cash, go give them at the hotel, go shop. But then the principal money they go. And that you know, stop no more for them big money. You know, we trading monies. Like we sell big type of money them. We then sell the products, produce them. We then sell it. We then not sell it and keep on like a 1 month before the actual money go. So the corruption is so big. You talk about achievement. This is why we do not achieve the goal. We cannot achieve the goal because the bread they did. Oh my, we can next time you want to That is the problem. It is a cycle.
So, Yusuf, we want to interject quickly. The lag go to Adi because I want we answered. Let we discuss then 2 questions. Then the one we say, are we on the right trajectory to meet the target? But before that, let me for be put number 3 before number 2. Has the mindset changed? You know, because like how you say, now we still they're on this bottleneck. We history the challenges. And we still the circuits. Why make one of the move go before? Is it the mindset? What is it? You know, Yusuf, over to you.
Okay. All right, thanks. So first of all, I'll make I just go to waiting T-Boy just quickly mentioned there. Now, as deliberately use that parable there as the foundation within which I have to build my own argument. In that, first for you aid make a foot cover. Of course, I don't say you aid now you crown. You aid now your sovereignty. So we leaders them who are the head. Together, now they come, now they go sit down, form the what they call the manifestos them. Now they form this idea, we say, now follow we go through, now this we don't put forward. Now then they bring all the PhD people them and the bookman them, bring together, say, let we go forward. Now the crown down at the aid down one day. Now, so their job is to fight for that key word where we use here. Integrity. Integrity, now they help you for make you keep your word, your dream, your knowledge, and make you practice the knowledge. Again, lago pan Bible, he say, seek ye first the kingdom of God. If I take just the one day, with your kingdom again, you aid your sovereignty. That's your kingdom. Now then they put you crown. Seek knowledge. Seek ye first. Then it says, and his righteousness. When you get the right knowledge, you should do the right thing. I use the word should. I'm not going to say you will, okay? But you should do the right thing. So, therefore, when you say you don't put yourself as a leader, you don't put yourself, say, you know, the crown. Every way they lead the body and the foot, and for make sure say the foot's not mass na say go broke, especially deliberately. But we all see what's in the happen that with many of the leaders, they're not necessarily fed for the head, make the foot cover. Then they fed for the head, make them pocket boss or let them pocket full up. That's where it stopped. It doesn't go down to the foot. Okay, but I want for just go through another thing that way important for look at now also is the international law. I think international law very important. Why make I say this? When we're talking of African unity, we're talking of Africa Day. We founding fathers them in 1963 were looking at sovereignty. They're always they're fed for sovereignty. So sovereignty, therefore, is then we go for ask. We say sovereignty. Let me say sovereignty and security. So sovereignty in terms of your economic sovereignty, control over your land and your resources, and also pride in your own language. We therefore consider that thing there. So, but if we just take only the law, international law, how does international law favor we Africans? You understand? And we must understand that international law primarily, and the vast bulk of it, they been set international law at a time when slavery still been to go on, where we still there under colonialism. So therefore, much of those laws were not necessarily set in favor of us. If you consider marine law, if anybody dig deeper for understand what in marine law they about, when they talk about say the ship don't dock, or the one minute they call the ship, she. What all that mean? If we understand that, then we look with court system, with law system, now that's together one day all together. So importantly, we understand that because the international law, to a large extent, is not set up in we favor as African people. To the point that I want to raise a challenge. Challenge now, and that is, if we're going to look at progressing, do we African people, do we have to even consider opting out of much of those kind of laws that are not necessarily in our favor? I mean, I'm just throwing that question there. Do we even have to consider that? China did. China, to a large extent, opt out of it and did their own thing until they were able to kind of make their own narrative. Why make China do that? Let me go back. When the British, the French, and the Japanese, when they handled China during Second World War and even before that, they mess up China big time. When China got itself together, it says game over. They closed their borders, everything, and continue to build themselves from within so that they get one narrative. So with Africa, whether we'll achieve that, that's, I guess, that, I mean, this is another question.
For us, like how Adi been say earlier, with the mindsets thing, do we have to, we still effect for the unity? Do we have to be one people, one continent in, the same way? Is that ever possible? Or we can still develop in we own little ways and identify, with diversity, accept that, but then look at the commonalities, then we're able for push we together. Like how you say earlier, you don't then beat you brother, but you able to forgive you brother less, you brother able to forgive you petete, you're able to move on together and develop together. But let's go to Ade, like Habi asked the question, the mindset. And the mindset unfortunately has changed, and part of the reason why the mindset has changed is why actually we're not progressing. I mean, we can talk about China. No country in Africa is China. China can send people to the moon. We can't even get electricity in our countries. So let's just get real, okay? And the thing is, Africa is like a beast that's being circled by an even hungrier, more voracious beast. The fact that some of us decide to go it alone is why we can be picked off easily. But many beasts will not attack the herd that stays together. They'll be scared. And that's the reality we have to deal with. We are not China.
I've many times made this quote, which has been attributed to both Julius Nyerere and to Kwame Nkrumah. And the quote is, I understand that John F. Kennedy has announced that one day America will put a man on the moon. He said, we Africans, even some of us 5-6 years after independence, are still struggling just to get from our cities back to our home villages. I'm in Gambia. Gambia is the smallest country on the African continent. It's got some of the worst roads on the African continent. A country this tiny should not have that problem in 2021. 60% of the country does not have electricity in 2021. I live here. If you come here as a tourist, you get a different side of Gambia. I just did a tour when I went around the country. I was horrified. Little Gambia cannot. And people keep saying, oh, why do you keep banging on about Cape Verde? Because Cape Verde was a former Portuguese colony, and the Portuguese were the worst and most ruthless and brutal of all the European nations that colonized Africa. And that is why it is important, because if you forget your history and what it is you're moving away from, then I'm sorry, your future is redundant. You have to remember that history, because that history is what forged you. I mean, T-Boy was talking about the fight for independence was not some irrelevance. People died in the tons of thousands and in their millions. That's why we should not forget it.
So, Mr. Dayami, what do you think Cape Verde did different that other African countries fail to do or are not doing?
They have not just paid lip service to the importance of education in its broadest sense. Let me tell you this. It has one of the best heritage museums in Africa. It has one of the best art and design museums in Africa. And you know what they teach there? Traditional cloth weaving, like country clothes. They now teach it in primary schools in Cape Verde because it is important to their culture. 10 years ago, Cape Verde got 150,000 visitors to the country. This is a country of 500,000 people.
Right.
December 2019, which was just before COVID hit, they had 890,000 visitors. A country of 500,000. I've been going there for the last 8 years, so I know what I'm talking about. In fact, that's where I was going to move to. When ECOWAS decided that they were going to put their sustainable energy headquarters last year, where did they choose? They chose Cape Verde because Cape Verde knows that, look, it's the only country which in 5 years' time in Africa will be 100% reliant on solar and wind energy, 100%. No other country in Africa will even be 5% reliant, the continent that has all this sun. So what they have is they have unity of purpose, and they've had progressive leaders who knew why they fought and died. Tourists still go to the concentration camps on the island of Fogo, one of the 10 islands because they want people to remember. They don't want people to forget that the Portuguese had concentration camps in our country. And that's the thing that drives them. We have to show that we can take our destiny into our own hands. Cape Verde has everything that Africa should have. And this next month, I'm actually taking the mayor of the biggest municipality here to Cape Verde to go and see. It's the cleanest country I've ever been to. You go to Cape Verde, whether the streets are dirty or not, they sweep them 4 times a day. You do that because you have a vision about where you want to go. I went to the primary schools. You know what one of the lessons they teach the children? This is 4, 5, 6-year-old kids. Never throw litter in the street. If you are walking in Cape Verde and you see person throw away dirty in a street, trust me, I will bet you anything that person they know to Cape Verde come out. Those things matter. They also have somebody from Cape Verde can live 10 years longer than somebody from Gambia. Why? Because the environment is clean. They don't eradicate malaria. Thing we only they dream about, Naya. Why? Because they have kept it clean. They have a sense of purpose and they have leadership. It's the same in Rwanda. Rwanda, in 10, 15 years' time, Gabon left the rest of Africa so far behind that you think they were on another planet. Cape Verde now, there's not a country in West Africa that even can compare to them, not even half. Not even half. Okay. Because the unity of purpose, and they know why they exist. They don't exist just to welcome tourists and so on. Education matters. Imagine, let me just finish. A country of 580,000 people is about to have 7 universities. They have them already, but at the moment they're kind of unique, just campuses of the one university. In fact, some of you may know that the vice chancellor is a Sierra Leonean in Cape Verde, Saidu Bangura. They are about to have 7 universities, a country of just over 500,000 people. That's what you call thinking ahead, progress, etc., you name it. That's what Africa needs to do. We need to learn from the ones that are succeeding. What are they doing to succeed? Let's join them and let's follow them and let's copy them and let's share ideas. You share ideas, we all progress, all of us.
Interesting. So, Tiboy, I know you want for what Lagi Israel chance quick, then I'll come to you.
There's a conflict. As you can, Verde is an exceptional example.
And what makes the exceptional example?
Because apart from the size and the number of people, I mean, it's unique as a country. They're away from the main continent. I mean, I know I didn't let people there. I know where I say don't go. Electricity. Apart from the fact that electricity, that's a reality. Well, it's an exceptional country. Why? When you take Freetown alone, the size of Freetown alone was built for 500 or 1,000. Look at the millions already inside it now. And this cleanliness, and this is what has changed, the mindset. This mindset, no one forget the word, because you should talk something from it. This mindset not only just stop at our own individuals. The mindset, in fact, don't change into the very international law, which you should talk about. You will recall, I mean, those who go in history, Sierra Leone had this policy after independence, especially at the beginning of after the first coup, we had this non-aligned. Remember, see, by the time we Hamilton we were linked closely with the Israelis. Now they build with parliament. Now they build with parliament. Now they have built the Bank of Sierra Leone. They build with parliament. And so we are close to them. And of course, these situations like changed and the war came in 73 against the Arabs and the Israelis, and things changed. Then we had this policy, which was, in our ideas, it's called the non-aligned. We don't mix, so we don't carry on. We don't mix, we don't we don't mix. Yeah, what's happening? You get this policy, as you say, Juma, non-interference. Non-interference. Everything they go back, non-interference. But then they go behind and they go behind and they go behind and make coup. They go behind and take Kwame Nkrumah, they overthrow him. Africa gone, not to him. One American CIA man become some years ago. I should remember in television, BBC, I think it was BBC, not ITV, where he talked before he died, confess, say that the engineer, because of the bauxite, Ghana had the biggest bauxite, then the tribe may import bauxite. That's one of the reasons why they get more. Then what's happening now with Libya? What's happening with Ivory Coast? The policy in the UN changed. This is the international law you're talking about. It conflicts with the human rights stuff. Now we have what is called a responsibility to protect. That is what Mrs. Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, and coming and keep Gbagbo out. I mean Libya out, Gaddafi. At the time, the irony of Gaddafi is this. At the time when Gaddafi don't look back, don't begin to do good. You read what that piece I read about Kwame Nkrumah, talk about central bank. We own central bank. We own currency. There was this ideal that Gaddafi was trying to change the currency. We have got gold currency separate away from the IMF and World Bank. But these have been engineered. Is that not breach of international law? You see, Cameroon go into Egypt, through Libya and Ivory Coast. Get when Ouattara to problem with Gbagbo at the time, I was so livid that time. I actually wrote a few on my blogs. It wasn't right. Before, Ouattara was the friend of a wife, I think, the president of France at the time. What's the name? Again, I can't forget. Now he married them. He was the mayor. Now he not been in my wife. Where do they marry for Ouattara's wife? The French woman were married. So he take partnership, then go pull Bago. Whatever you can talk about, they keep the man here. They found guilty? No. Now he can't even go to the country. What's he do with the law? He change them back again. He should not let it get him. So we talk about international law. We are like, oh, Western country, let's go international, and let's go. What's how you go? You are going back to the people who engineer you, who undermine you. So we have moved now, the mindset have moved from non-aligned, we've gone into non-interference. We are now back in the United Nations using this bent policy of responsibility to protect. When it suits them, overthrew Gaddafi, for overthrow Gbagbo in Ivory Coast. And what has happened now? I heard somebody mentioning about the democracy of Guinea and Mali and Ivory. Dangerous statement. We are not going to go into that in Sierra Leone. Nobody never bend till the law, the constitution for changing. Now we get the democracy of Guinea and the democracy of Ivory Coast. Because I'm telling you, that's going to bring problems to Sierra Leone. I had it last weekend from the chairman of a particular party, and that is dangerous.
Okay, thank you so much, Israel. Over to you, T-Boy. Then after that, we will come begin at we want.
It's very interesting way I've been listening to Mr. Adi, because what they make mention of Cape Verde is possibly the exact replica of what you Rwanda do. Because when I say so, that because I spent a couple of time, few days ago, for listening to Kagame and why he succeeded in what he was doing or what he still continued to do. And I realized, one thing he make mention of, now the fact, when he took over the concept of bringing back Rwanda into the front line of how Africans should be developed, he make mention of don't forget about your past, because it should be a permanent reminder of the mistakes that we have made in the past, so we should not repeat it. Secondly, we need to develop a nation that we will not have the same opinion, but we should be in the position to ready to work together to achieve one goal. So basically, when you look at the Cape Verde concept, likelihood, like I said earlier on, Africans, then we self know they project the positive images of what African countries have done to develop and compete with the Western world. Because we then make and say, oh, well, if we begin to talk about these developing countries that are growing in Africa, it means Africa will have less aid. We got some of leaders the way in different parts of African countries, they just rely on European and Western aid. And when you look at all them countries that we don't develop, not to say they need to get some more, but they are not prioritizing it. Sometimes they even don't need it. So if we look at the concept of what's at the models the way other African countries and they use for succeed, there's nothing wrong with being, for like we say, okay, look, we go land. Those same people are going to Cape Verde. Like I mentioned, the person who lead the education department in Cape Verde is a Sierra Leonean. But we're able to go and reach out to the other countries that also they develop. We have gone through similar kind of thing that we possibly not even worse than them countries they also. But what we are trying to do as Sierra Leoneans, now for white history, like it never happened, we don't come back to it, we don't revisit it, we don't make any reference to it. It doesn't even exist in our books. So how the Pekin they born, they know about the history of what parents them we don't do in the past.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we just struggle for reinforce that sort of historical past of ours, because as far as we're concerned, it doesn't exist. So the kids themselves growing up, they don't know what has happened. So what in they not sabi, then they can do worse because they haven't been taught what has gone wrong in the past. We need to foresee them as older people and for recognize, say, we have to look at our history. European history can never be wiped out. They always come back and celebrate World Day, World War II, when England win the war. is always a week or a month of celebration. Any channel where you go, you must hear you or see or write something about that particular incident day. Holocaust is still being celebrated, is still being recognized everywhere in the world. They have a week of celebration. Slavery, no, doesn't exist, doesn't happen. So what's in Kigami, they look at the concept of possibly Cape Verde, because Cape Verde don't exist for quite some time, and they have been developing their country in so many different ways. So when they talk about the development of Cape Verde, where you don't talk about so many times, and now looking at what Kigami is doing in Rwanda, it's a similar kind of models now instead the practice, failing to making things clear to the Rwandans. Then say, yes, when they talk about peace, it make mention to the people that say, nobody not able for payback for the crimes where he don't commit. But you wouldn't commit this crime too, you go able to give back something in return when forgiveness. Because that person they don't commit that crime, you can't give back the crime or you can't reverse the crime. So you are now in the position of authority to say, okay, I will forgive you, but that doesn't mean I will forget, because it is a reminder of what you don't do to me, so you're not going to do them again. So if I get to remind you every day, because if now other African countries that really this genocide happened, they would have wiped out that history. But no, there is a monument of actually people realizing this happened. They stuck the heads of skulls of people that were killed. Mm-hmm. So anytime that particular attempt they reach, then they go back and tell this group picking and say, una can't look, una can't see. What's in happen now we can't see 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Where you say that, if I want for bring and come before I see Adrian up, then I'll come to Femi, get ready, then I come to Yusuf Jallo. Where you mentioned that, the Rwandan, situation with the skulls and all that. I saw a video where somebody posted a couple of days ago about Tonkolili na Salon, I bring and come home now. The video concentrated on a small 6-a-side pitch area. Usai actually, na they then talk peace, we end the war na Salon, 2002. And the day they pass, nobody know they talk about no one celebrates it. Who goes there? Uda no say na Tonkolili, na that small place, na they all the warring factions and come meet and say, you know what? War done today officially. Let we mark this place. Let we go there and show people and say that 11-year war, na yaso it end. In we mind, we believe say it end na one UN table, been to Mani Hotel, or some kind of place where we all they imagine, just like how that video will see just now. Over to you, Adi. I just want to drop down the inside it quick. Yeah,
it's a very important point that you make, and you introduced me amongst other things as a historian, and even in Gambia, I have to say I feel ashamed that I go to schools and universities to talk to them about Gambian history. I'm not a Gambian. I think it's embarrassing. I think it's shameful, actually. But what I want to talk about very, very quickly is kind of leading on from the schools and colleges thing, is the importance of education. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if people know the official UN literacy rate for Sierra Leone. It is 43.2%. 43.2% can read and write in Sierra Leone. In Gambia, they claim it is 50%, but I don't believe. I live here. I think it's actually lower than the Sierra Leone one. In Rwanda, it is 73%, and in Cape Verde, it is 87.7%. Now, the reason I mention this now, because Amilcar Cabral, in fact, I will direct you now afterwards. There's a ITV program from the 60s called World in Action. The interviewer in the 60s, this was long before, imagine they only got independence in 75, and he was killed, by the way, from within his own party in 1974. But what did Amilcar Cabral say? The guy asked and said, why are you so obsessed with education? Because he said, in the short time when around the Fetna, the jungle, when I don't build more schools than the Portuguese and don't build in Cape Verde and Guinea-Bissau in 300 years. Mm-hmm. He said something very important. He said, because Indo observe, say in other African countries then, because people are not educated, when people go to them ask for their vote, they know they say, vote for me because of my ideas. They say vote for me because me not Timney man, me not Fula man, me not this. He said, but if people are educated, they can make educated and informed choices. That is what has governed Cape Verde. Not to mistake the mistake whether they outside and they so today. That make education matter. Because the rest of the world, they pass we by. They say, it no matter. No, it matter. So I just want to make that point very quickly. I make that raise my hand,
Wow.
because it's a very important point.
So it come back to the same thing. We don't get education program now, so and just not just education, but the kind education as well. We get. Gets a key point, and like when I say, the mistake not happen. The statistics they show, the results they show. Educated society, it develop.
Yeah.
You see, there is no mismatch there. Like what you mentioned,
it's not an accident. Yeah.
It's not an accident. So you see the progression. Over to you, Femi. Mr. Palmer, I don't see you don't shake your head, you don't whinge and all that. So yeah. Loud and clear.
Go on. Yes, I can hear you. Of course. Tell me, America farmer. I'm not saying I you smile. I'm not saying so for make reference for say you equally get the same kind of mindset of America.
They're progressive. Yes.
Femi, hold on quickly. It's like I get feedback that we know the EU better than the Facebook. So I don't know what you can do to increase your volume, please.
And just to say quickly, Femi might be pleased to know. Femi might be pleased to know that I'm actually working on a documentary about Amilcar Cabral. It's to be broadcast next month, and I'll share the link when it is.
What can we not mention?
Thank you.
What can we not mention?
Femi, you have to fix your audio. I think your audio is not coming through.
One person we will not mention near you is Stokely Michael. The role he played, yeah, Stokely Michael. I mean, these are one of the people that we actually try for. I mean, but are we achieving? Is the goal there? See, talk about this business of, we know the member. Me a historian on church history. Things happen. The very religion we dwell on, they bring we all together, especially the Muslim and the Christian. For chasing a much of the person that we be.
Right, hold on a little bit, Israel. Just hold on 1 second. Let me see if there's an issue with the sound here.
But I can hear Mr. Adi when he spoke and yourself.
Okay, I think Femi will not be there.
Okay, all right, fine, no problem.
Okay, so while
funny enough, it maybe on Facebook they're not hearing, but we could hear Femi clearly.
Yes.
Yeah, we could, yeah.
So whilst we wait, hopefully for let Femi get an opportunity for comeback, let we ask this question because we say who's kind Africa we want and how we go get there. Because it's not just the way we want, but how we go get there. Because if we're using the now Cape Verde model, which I like very much, and so who's kind Africa we want, Yusuf Jallo, and how we go get there.
Thank you very much. Very good question. And so many amazing contributions that we have already make way, I'm learning from. So who's Africa we want? First, I think we want an Africa we get a good memory. An Africa we get a good memory. Again, we come back to the aid. What would Baibure say if he were to boss na saloon right now? A boss eating up Jinjin. What he go say really if he looks selling right now?
Usa in a cotton tree or uspat? Or Tonkolili?
Well, let's say a boss.
Olunge Airport.
And a boss na Toke Beach.
All right, Toke Beach. All right, I'll take that.
But what would he say when he look the country? Especially considering, of course, what he stand for, what he fight for, and what he sacrifice for. What would Thomas Sankara say if he came Burkina Faso today? You understand? And what would Kwame Nkrumah say if he came? Yoko, Stephen Biko, if he came to South Africa today, what he go say? So we want an Africa with memory. The symbol Sankofa, we de na Ghana. The fall, they turn, they look behind, but the body all day forward. So it's important for look back. Let you know what team bring you at this point. From there, you can able for begin plot what you need for do for get to the next point. And Narida Rame talk again about this clarity, singular purpose, with the mind. And success in general, you achieve success when you get clarity of purpose. With that, we go forward. If we take plenty of we African countries, there's no clarity of purpose whatsoever. But there's another word that goes with clarity of purpose. I mentioned earlier, and we're very important. We want an Africa with integrity, leaders with integrity. When they say the word for say we get for so, it means they don't see them, they don't plot them right through, and don't figure out exactly how we get for go. But it also means that they're open to changing plans, not necessarily the goal. I will give a classic example again, if I may take with wonderful Sierra Leone. Then Pinamo say for build this bridge. Now, even when it be to say
clarify for me.
Yes, where it be to say the needs of the country now a totally different thing altogether. Then now there they go. That does not show someone a leadership with integrity. You understand? Because you get to understand the needs of the people. And, what not the point, so then they come up with Boku Lai right now for justify what make it for day. But again, okay, if we take England here outside midday, anytime when they propose for do something, the level of debate, the level of discussion will get for happen before they implement any of a government project per se. It's very high. Why? They want to make sure say this thing is served, but more importantly, that is served economically, right? Not just because this is a great idea, just could put an almost. No, that come down to integrity. We need that leadership the way get that kind with it. So memory for me important. Mr. Adederami talk about education na Cape Verde. Now, with my own kind of work, we are constantly there inside one school or the next education stuff and all that teaching. I don't learn for say, my phrase what I always use, know yourself not to cause, na good advice. I feel say, what I did Mr. Adederami talk about Cape Verde. When you go to the school, then they teach you how to make their own country close. Or they go teach you them basic things in there.
Yes.
That's the reality, not the business that one day. Because now close you they wear, now food you they eat. You understand? Not to PhD they eat. What you they eat now food. There are many people them where they within we own African countries them we say they're educated. If you put them inside one bag petete, then they starve. If you put them inside one bag casada, then go starve. They don't know how to feed themselves. These are the kind of people that they produce. But that's, of course, again, because of the kind of, the kind of educational culture we may not put we pan before. So now we need begin change all of this, like a Cape Verde do. Following that kind of example, very useful. I call this system education within the context of your culture. So, how do we improve that man where they go pepe? Make he understand the biology where they pan pepe, the chemistry where they pan pepe, the geography where they pan pepe, the history lesson where they pan pepe. If you take just pepe no more, you run them for the whole year as the curriculum topic. Just pepe. If you look inside Sierra Leone, say today we can look big pepe. Who say it grow na Sierra Leone? Na geography don't open up so. If you want to go inside biology, what's not the effects of pepe per your body? Na biology they go inside so. Chemistry, what's not the soil and composition and all that factors they for make this thing make pepe be what it be. No go inside economics. Then you begin to consider how they package pepper, with how pepper they sell, who sell with the price high, who sell the price low. There's so much we can put together. This kind of education, very important for we now. Finally, I will say one final thing.
Before you go finally, I just want, to clear the conversation again. You don't talk about the education geography of pepper, but you not talk about the tourism of pepper, because people can go salon just for go witness the pepper festival. All kind different pepper, do tasting, this, that. Where you go, all them place for go do wine tasting. Not so just because you wait you want to taste the different kind of wine. You can buy musaide. But if there are not people and they want to spice in their leg. Hot, they want for those countries get the sweet pepper or different, taste of pepper. Just like they do.
No, something, when you talk about that, when I did do my festival na Kamakwe, one of the things the way I talk about there, I say, make Kamakwe, low fen we will brand Mampama inside Kamakwe. That if you want to drink the best Mampama, come na Kamakwe. That way they, and me and you two know, we all know this panel now also know how far people and they fly for go different countries. They just for later go see a particular thing or taste a particular thing. We go Scotland. For go eat haggis. Now their own main thing now one day. And but so these are very important. But like you say, inside from primary school, now they will need for begin introduce this kind of way of teaching. So that by the time this beginning don't go into secondary to university, their whole concept of their land and their resources, then get a different value system, a heightened value system to the land. So no Chinese person no go cut out say they can give 55 million for buy 250 acres of your land because you want to come put fishing boats there. No, you go sit down and say, you want them? You have to pay me 1 billion, or if not 1 point something billion, if you want this piece of land. I'm just saying that the sense of value where we begin and go get, or we future generation go get for we land, it go heightened. When we combine memory, you see, because as you say, the Portuguese, they waited them pass, and then people there, na Cape Verde. Then they say, yeah, well, if we sit down, so you not go funny, oh. Sierra Leone not ever go through that kind of struggle there. And I think when, I say Sierra Leone because we're talking about Africa here as a whole. But Sierra Leone, they suffer from that because we not go through that. And we memory, like, we know, we all know how we hail Britain, how we sing a double-decker bus, how we all did dance to Jim Reeves. So Sierra Leone is different. It's almost like they just hand with this independence. We not seem to forget a proper value of what in sovereignty truly mean when it comes to Sierra Leone. If we compare to Kenya, if we compare to this other continent, we bout Zimbabwe, Mozambique, we bout better one. You understand? So memory important, and like I say, leaders with integrity. Then education within the context of we culture, very, 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 very important.
All right, thank you so much. I'll come to, is it Ade, right? Mr. Darame. We don't use the Cape Verde experience a lot. I'll come to you just now, Femi. I know you already now with the sound and all that, but I'll go back to you. And you talk on something very interesting, where these are things that you don't have to pay for. That they teach beginning at school, not to away dirty at it. So it don't they part of your culture now, your upbringing, you don't know say na bad thing. Waiting that I don't have boku thing. The country not the dirty, malaria no go boku, and people no go sick. They will get a healthy society and a healthy workforce where we're able to go school, finish school, and contribute to the development of their country. You think, say, it's only not throw away dirty at it, but you see the levels where it don't go. So, Mr. Darame, waiting now the Africa where you want and how you think, say, we will get there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, with somebody who study history and we teach history still, even though, I'm retired, but, as I said, I go to schools and colleges, they talk about them. Yusuf mentioned something, he talked about memory. And he mentioned just towards the end there about waiting and pass Portuguese and past people that are Cape Verde, that this kind of drive them on. And, the Africa we want is one where we forbid this kind of interconnectedness, really. I really still believe that the reason they can pick us off is because some of us try to go, and that's the danger. We always get in one day, we go sell we out, we not go one unify, because then go bribe them, then go this, then go that, whatever, then go their own way. But just right now, 2 days ago, we do a program now about a project called OMVG. And we talk about struggle for electricity. This is an electricity project where they link Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, and Gambia. They all they benefit from and decide a way and get waterfalls, then they have for drive it in. Imagine as soon as October, that thing it's been going for 15 years or whatever, but as soon as October, it will be up and running. And plenty inside it. We know one day get electricity, go get electricity. And we all know the importance of electricity for progress. But in terms of the memory thing, it's we as Africans that we remember, okay? The African Union, for me, they are a disappointment. And not just on a personal level, where I don't get experience of them. I think they have let down the continent. They have not set an example. They have not gone by. But I'll very briefly give an example of my own personal interaction with them. 11 years ago, I wrote a project which was for an African Museum of Heritage, Arts and Culture. And the thinking behind it was that if you are an African, most of we artifacts them, we mean something to we, not in our own country, in different country there. So what I want to do now for catalog all of them, and then within each African country, we identify like a museum. But this would be an online museum because we're not all able to visit all in country. So you click on the name or you click on the country, it takes you into that country and it shows you all the great artworks, all the great art that's been stolen from that particular country, and even the great artworks that are still in the country. So I got a very nice email back from the African Union. Say, yes, we wonder you can give a talk in Addis Ababa about this thing because we really like the idea. As I said, that was 11 years ago. I still wait for to give this talk. But it's important. And just for end, really, I just want to say, the Africa we me want now one way. When we get together for talk about what we for do, let's forget say okay, some of we are French, we talk as the official language, some of we are English, some are Portuguese. Then we get this one thing, and I keep going back because I sort of obsessed with Amilcar Cabral. Amilcar Cabral talk about the struggle. We have that struggle, and not only for make we always remember who side we want to go. And I would end by just giving a brief thing about what happened in Cape Verde to do with memory and heritage, where Yusuf talked about. I go there one day at the museum. I don't befriend the director, a guy called Orlando. So they keep comparing. I just look outside the window. Now I see one building. It's boarded up, and it looked like they were about to demolish it. Now I ask, I say, it's building down there. I see you get this initial EP. Now I say, down in Eden Park. Now I say, you're joking, right? He said, no. I say, you mean the famous Eden Park? Now imagine Eden Park, now the most famous concert hall and cinema in the history of Cape Verde, in the history of the country. They were going to knock it down and build a shopping mall. When he tell me, and I'm not making this up, that next day I not sleep. I tell her and say, tell me who that not the person. I wrote this letter where I talk about how important it is. And I address him to the guy. The guy was a millionaire. He kind of got his money overnight, this Cape Verdean. And I tell him, I say, what you are doing is nothing less than cultural vandalism. I said, this building, not just any building. I say, every Cape Verde artist we know can talk about, say, when they don't go play and be a success abroad, when they come back home, now Eden Park, no more than one play a concert. Then you tell me, say, they knock them down. And on my word, the guy right back, tell me, say, me don't embarrass him. He sent me 100 pages of the plan of what he was going to do. Tell her, say, do you make me tell her waiting them for do. And I can tell you, get for take me word for it. That building was saved and refurbished. And now it's up and running. He's still building in shopping mall where one bill, but he kept the facade. He kept all the original features of Eden Park in Mindelo. As I said, take me word, go online, you will find it. Heritage, because I said to him, you are destroying something that you will never get back. I say, you go England, man, and they go look old buildings. Then they go as tourists just for look at old buildings. Then you want to destroy this? I said, no. And you know what is the most visited place in Cape Verde? It's a place called Cidade Velha. Just means old city. It's the oldest European settlement built anywhere in Africa. 1462, the Portuguese built Cidade Velha. It is now a UNESCO heritage site. It gets 150,000 visitors a year. For make people then go see the first place in Africa where Europeans built a city. Cape Verde uses that as tourism. We should do the same. Let us learn our history, learn our heritage, let us celebrate it, and honestly, it will guide us going forward. It might seem like they're not connected, but believe me, they are connected. Because when we learn our history, and we learn that we too had great kings, queens, princesses, empires, trust me, we're not there for shame to nobody. We're not there for shame to nobody, and this is not invented history. Now, real facts, we had those. Just because people then kind of enslave we and colonize we, not mean say we then take away humanity or with history. I mean, I'm a Dinka. Now we get griots, then we then tell people their family history going back centuries. Let us inculcate that in our children, and believe me, Africa will benefit going forward.
Well, Yusuf, Mr. Adedarame, Israel, una get beaucoup work for do because the arts, culture, and heritage. I come to you, Femi. Arts, culture, and heritage definitely. Una get for go. Nobody not get for come mine and take and crank other side. The way they don't thief, but they don't thief culture. Now you get for add value to them. You not get for wait let them do one famous Hollywood movie for let you Ankara become attractive. You can make your Ankara attractive and all of those things. But yes.
1 minute before you, I'm following up from Ali. You see, you mentioned this building we saved, actually saving in Cape Verde. This is the saddest opposite which we have in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
No, allow me to say it.
Yeah.
As I said, I'm interested in church history, both the Methodist, the Catholic, and of course the Anglican church we all belong to, especially the Cathedral Church, where in great grandpa had been the first bishop of church. Cathedral School was built by the church, by St. George's Cathedral. That school had technical school as well as the academic side of school. This technical, when we talk about technical school, the cathedral started. That building, Buckingham House, whatever we call it again. That building, it was so unique. In fact, there are pictures, I think I don't post them in Nostalgia once. I think you said don't post that picture. Where you see the boys of the school, the help for building the school in 18, whatever it was. The very bishop will build cottage of school, not a government school, that Bishop Billam, that old Bishop's court, they were inside grammar school today. That Bishop built cottage of school. That same bishop before, then build cathedral school. We don't demolish Buckingham House. The history of that building is so rich. Miniman, I've been in education for years, over 30 years. At the same time, when I'm in working at the bank, I'm interested in this history. I know we'll go far. But as usually say, we hate. How much of we know certain history? Would there be no say there was a time at the turn of the century, 1800 to 1900, the whole of the roof of Cathedral Church was removed, and for 7 years, no service was being held in Cathedral Church, St. George's Cathedral. Now the old grammar school building, all that day, that history did. Who does remember that? Who keep that record? Well, go back to, I also been toy around agriculture. I work in SLPM. I was a supervisor in Cairo district, in Baumar, before I eventually left back, go back. I had a big offer up and down in the first 3-4 years before I ended up in the bank. I mean, usually talk about it. We plant banga, then within the banga, you plant the pepper, then they harvest the granates, then the harvest time you get to employ 100 women for come reduce them. So specific. We had a moment time. Oh, let me go first before that. As I go matter, you had what was called self-help. The Chinese, the Taiwanese Chinese, that they've been there with we. They teach we agriculture. But when this discussion in United Nations come with Solomon Pratt was the foreign minister, argued with the old big part of Bush, a sector state in America, forgets the big China instead. We lost the small China. Then the big China come. Now then the buy with beach. Mama come. We had what it came with, what was his policies, agricultural policy was based on what he called constructive nationalism. Constructive nationalism. But of course, this was a period where the fighting in Europe, the economic atmosphere in the world was changed. And now we talk about pepper. Then you go identify pepper. You mentioned about that pepper team. Model. You should talk about the Pawaina. What happened to our culture of Kalemakoko show? Kalemakoko should not show you look forward to go every. I can't remember the dates again. I think it was Easter time. Kalemakoko show. That is where we go and showcase our agriculture, and showcase our timber products, our chairs, all these things been there. I had the privilege of growing up in Bo and Freetown. We grandfather and we own the people and we integrate from early. My grandfather built Bo Town Council. He was a mayor in Bo. So I know this. I don't want to talk about myself. I talk about my family. But we have houses in Bo and we grew up there. I didn't say in Papa where he practiced law. It was there. It was there. You know what you want to say? Freetown. So we were there. So we had all these opportunities. Our mindset has changed. What Africa do we want? We want an Africa where we bring back this satisfaction. But how do we get this? Putting all this big terminology, getting all this. We all know we want to be PhD, but some of us also get master's degree, we plaque them over. Some of us get 3 degrees and professional, we only plaque them over. But we know the sea, danger. Is it right to sell our beaches to Chinese? We know the land from which they happen in East Africa. Look at the confusion in East Africa. Ugandans get a president without the God knows when. And a one-party state. And how does this unity of Africa come together? We can't. I cannot see it. Our objectives are without a specific objective. With a bluff. Gilunge Bridge. Okay. We will wait.
All right, thank you. Before I go to Femi, Yusuf, by the way, somebody asked a question. I don't know I get for answer because we say we Bible a boss na tongue if he boss. They are tell you say if he boss na Lunge airport. So the person ask say whose ferry way he go cross with. That was DJ Dole, you know. Because the Bible ferry, you know, they walk. Envy my hair, we see back then days, yeah, so all my confused, so don't know it's in the airport.
They push me as
spirit.
Yes.
Not spirit, it go fly.
They push me as that.
They say, which ferry it go use for cross? So now that they ask you, and DJ Dul, I don't ask the question. Yusuf, they think about the answer.
Spirit, I don't answer. Not spirit.
I did ask it. Okay. Femi, over to you.
Jima.
Yes, please.
This is an experiment. I'm not sure if it's going to quite work.
All right, let's try it.
So I'm listening in the background for see if you go come on first before I begin talk.
All right.
I think it's on. Yes, I think we're on. Hold on, let me just turn that volume down. So, as I've been saying earlier on, I've been asked T-Boy about my middle name. And I go ask them again for the benefits of we guess them. T-Boy?
Yes, Mr.
Do you
Farmer.
remember my middle name?
Your middle name is Femi Amilcar Palmer.
So yes, so I was named after a freedom fighter, guys. Namika Trangayesu.
I know that. But don't tell me that say you get the same mindset like Amilcar because I'm not going to accept.
So yeah, I was born before he died, so I always wonder. I never asked my parents in this why they choose me for name me after them, but I do my own small research, and I was very proud of the man they named me after him. And Mr. Adi don't can tell you not all, but this guy and Mr. Adi look like saying that one of his heroes them or a mentor. You know, it's such a good thing because on this platform here, I have 3 mentors. You know, Mr. Adi being one, Yusufu being one, and Mr. Papa being one. In Argentinians. We will leave that for another day.
I didn't say Argentinian.
Yeah, me say Argentinian. Yes.
That Yusufu no monosa come out.
Anybody who knows say una Argentinian.
Music Nakamakurian.
Okay, Prince William and Bodian. So
okay.
Oh yes.
Anyway, as I've been saying earlier on, I came to Europe in the 70s, in the late 70s, and I go to school. And one of my days in our school, a young bobo look me and ask me, say, if I wash, if I go clean and turn white like I am. I was 6 at the time. I felt bad. I gonna cry, ask my parents them, you know, why we so different. And me people make us sit down and they explain to me. And after that day, they made it their point of duty for educate me in what race means. Obviously, these people were youngsters in the 60s when the whole Africa freedom liberation, whatever you want to call them, been gone. You know, the movement around Africa, the mindset change, you know, the music in Africa, in the West Indies. You can look at, you know, Bob Marley, Miriam Makeba, Hugh Masekela, you know, later on years, Fela Kuti. There's, you know, I could name them, you know, and I grew up with that kind of music, and they were preaching, you know, freedom. They were preaching unity for the African people. So I grew up as a young man with Dentiaso in mind. My parents actually make us sit down and watch Roots. So I watched Roots, the film or the series by Alex Haley. And later on, I watched the Alex Haley story. And he talked about his family and how he was an educated man in Papana, be a scholar, but he wanted to be in the Marines or in the Navy. And when he left the Navy, he was when he was in the Navy, he was one of the educated men there. That when he left, he wanted to be a writer. But Usai, nobody not allow him for write. He began write for some porno magazine just because they gave him the opportunity to write. From where they write, say now
it was Playboy. It was Playboy. It was Playboy he wrote for.
Sorry, Mr. Ade?
I was saying he wrote for Playboy, which was a kind of soft porno magazine. It was Playboy. He wrote for Playboy.
So, yeah, and Malcolm X saw his work and asked him to meet up and then talk. And he asked Malcolm X, say, why you name X? And Malcolm X tell and say, because I do not know my history. Then Alex Haley members say, in know in your history. Because in mama, in grandpa, in great-great-granny, they all tell him, but that man will come out Africa will be named Kunta Kinte. We come out na the west coast of Africa. And he knew the story of Chicken George and all of them. And he decided that he was going to research it more. And he he went back to Africa for go fend in people them and actually fend the village Usai in people them in Komot. Through a long struggle to find it. You know, Mr. Dami, they talk about the griots them. We did tell stories. It is very important that we learn to tell our stories. It's a shame that most of Africa don't teach our history. Most of our history is now in the Western monuments, their books, you know, and in Africa, we don't have anything. It is sad. I don't know what's not the answer. Sometimes some of them within the panel has to be able to help me. We museum na Sierra Leone, for me, is a total disgrace. We keep nothing. Thank God, people like Mr. Ade, you able to save Cape Verde, the
Eden Park.
Was it Eden Park? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I wish we able to save, you know, the old Fuabe College building. You know, there's so many things that we need for preserve and for me to teach with picking them, because we need them to learn our stories. 100 years from now, as Tiboy said, and we'll still talk about D-Day landing. Then we'll still talk about all what happened in Germany, but yet then we'll sweep all what happened with the slave trade under the carpet, and that is still the money we do like today. But for me, I'm an African and a Pan-African. I believe our forefathers been get a good vision, but unfortunately, I think in the journey of transformation, you get themes them where they begin with, but forget to the end goal. You need forget a structural map in place, and I don't believe they actually finished to put that map in place. I guess because there was a lot of infighting, and the Whitman them not being allowed them for achieve the intended. But I believe all the leaders that we came after them did not help to follow the direction where they don't put. So it'll be hard for us to reach the end goal where we don't miss of what's in the middle. We can't just jump from the beginning, reach at the end. We have to go through the journey. And the journey usually involves a lot of rough seas, rough waves that we'll get for ride. But, I believe that we're resilient people and we'll get there. And as I said before, there's more that we have in common than what divides us.
Right.
Not just the color of our skin, but the struggle we go through as Africans. And we'll be strong and chase the dream of our forefathers them. Because we want for we grandpicking them, we great-great-grandpicking them, a truly united Africa where we can stand on our own and not go hand in hand begging for handouts whilst in the reap waiting we suppose for the benefits from.
All right. Thank you so much, Femi.
I want to say something just to add to this, if it's okay.
The country just for round up. Yeah. Thank you for that. And definitely, like I say, Yusuf, Mr. Adedarami, and Mr. Israel or JK Papa, then get beaucoup work for do. And one thing we will say, I think, Adedarami gets more archive material than the Sierra Leone Museum. So that's now a bold statement that they make. And if he can do it for Cape Verde, if he can do it for the Smiling Coast, the Gambia, he will proudly do it for Sierra Leone. Are we giving people the opportunity? Then get for big, for Duam, or we just need for give them the opportunity? Somebody just right now the group say, do ya? They will not save nothing as alone. Lord, just save the cotton tea. And they alone big work. So, Mr. Darami, in your rounding up statement, for today's program, Yusuf, you will add there as well with the, which statement that we round up. So with your rounding up statements, I want because there's something we're missing here, we always forget, and it's value. And I know you're passionate about that because now you don't talk about the interconnectedness. And we've talked about this, we've worked on projects around that. The diaspora and remittances and how this all come into play in moving this One Africa agenda forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dilemma that we have to solve because, one of the reasons why plenty of we give money as when we're in the diaspora is because, one, we feel a connectedness to USA we grow up. And when I came to Gambia, I was actually quite shocked because as somebody we grow up and go to school in a salon, you go England, you go Germany, you go Holland, they get alumni association. Now Gambia, virtually none of the school get a single, in fact, I've seen a one grade alumni association there for one particular school. Whereas I say, as a Sierra Leonean, I mean, me alone, I belong to 3 in a salon. Cathedral Grammar School, CKC. I can't Gambia, man, they don't even know it's at the top, I might as well have been speaking Chinese, And so that linkage within the diaspora and so on, and we were there in the diaspora. It's funny. It's like when my daddy had been a lawyer, and then he became a government minister. Like he always make this joke, say, "In get plenty party them, we can talk say, me I not go corrupt." Now I can talk say that because somebody not get £1 million and tell them they just sign this paper. He say if they get £1 million say sign this paper and he not do now that they can bluff say he not corrupt, So what thing we get is plenty of we were there in the diaspora where we go back. Yeah, so then they call them semesters because now holiday 10 no more than they can begin bluff, can't put their fake American accent. I don't know why it is the Americans who always put all this extra and they piss people off, Then they begin to table almost posting and they feed. If they feed 15 people, just keep unto yourself. Because surely not so that make you the doer. But really, waiting we for do as the diaspora, if we begin leverage the contacts and what we get out there in the diaspora for the benefit of their country. Me and my brother, because we're not going to see eye to eye on plates in them. We get some serious argument. When they talk about, say, people and they go as migrants to their country. I said, well, the reason why me and you, they talk English, me and my brother, I said, no, because then people are kind of our own country. So if we go back now, then go take for benefit Salon, benefit Gambia, benefit Cape Verde, I don't see no problem with that at all. And now that mindset they will get forget. Let we utilize the tools them. If we're able, take them, go to schools and colleges, impart your knowledge. This, and again, honestly, not to bluff or anything. This year, University of the Gambia, they may get their convocation. 119 people graduate with accountancy degrees, 59 with law degrees, no engineer, no architect, no civil or structural engineer, not one. In a country we say they want to develop, they need buildings, they need roads, they need venues. 119 accountants, I couldn't believe it. I've been there for contact. So we were there in the diaspora. Let we use the tools and the connections where we get for link back, work with people there. Now we, in quotes, home country there. For say, actually we don't kind of, in me, actually, because of that thing they were doing at Cape Verde, the offer was there for me to go. And if anybody put a gun to me head, say, waiting are your favorite country, I know they think twice right now, at Cape Verde. But they Gambia, I am daddy born, And I feel, say, there's a lot that needs to be done here. I can go sideways, I don't get for worry. I don't get for worry about blackout. I don't get for worry about, water shortage. I don't get for worry about anything like that. But that's like the easy option. If we not come back and build back, what that they can do for we? Trust me, if we not do it, in 10, 15 years' time, Africa man will be able to come back now Africa. It will be full of Chinese. We don't take over every single country. And I'm not saying that as a joke. I mean it. Because we all they abdicate, we all they run away. We want to go easy life in the West. If I go to London, I can click on the light, they come on. I turn pump water, they can. Well, who that they can't do that for make we African man get that. Now we get for doing. We can't left and get nobody. And at the mindset that we'll get forget across Africa. Because we all get our problem there with electricity. Even big Nigeria with all their oil wealth, which they have squandered mainly. Plenty side and they will get serious challenges with electricity in this 2021. It's a disgrace. So then we come back, then we build with continent, where we begin to ask we and we begin to ask we today, tomorrow, Grandpa, what you do? You can bluff them. Say, now that road there, now we can build that village there, now we make it get electricity. But now what you get for sure then? Nothing. We get for change that mindset there. We talked about mindset earlier. Now the mindset that we get for change for make Africa go before, for make Africa better. Make her shut up, lady, one day we clever pass me talk.
Thank you so much. Always good to hear from you and with you they talk. And I hope we all learn lesson there. So the challenge where you get, where they aspire for go all public office or then a position of trust, we say you're not corrupt or you not get for corrupt. Do you when they count the 1 million? Make sure say you can publicly and tell we say I refuse this £1 million or $2 million. Okay, and the reason make important where they talk about that connection. The connection not just means say you get for daily physically. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot. And when you talk about Africa, Yusuf talked about them earlier. He say, not look at African or Africa or by under the Udenaya, because sometimes we can tend for them that mindset say them against us, we see them foreign, now they no more get all the negatives, and who they are so better off. What are you doing to impact which you don't do? Because like how Maimuna Mara say, we can start by embracing what is currently working for us. That's the mindset. So over to you, Israel, your last word for today's program. That will come to Yusuf, then T-Boy, then we'll close.
Yeah, I appreciate most of all of which we don't discuss. we will try for it's a picture we get certainly the time to focus on the whole continent, and then we try to tie it up with our own little country. One before I go into the largest digress, one small thing we talk about. We talk about saving the college. I say they don't begin to do something on the tourism aspects for save that. But there's one college. Hey, one of the most important colleges in the Mabang College, when I've been particularly agricultural directed college, which has been neglected. And my old friend Melvin Gaba been going to try zone. The place, in fact, is much more or less inaccessible. With the building structures today. One Creole might at least the man name or something like that. I've been putting a couple of builders.
No, he was A.E. Thomas. His name was A.E. Thomas.
Thomas. I forgot my name. I mean, when you understand, even at the time of the war, Bay College had to move there to take cover for the period. That building structure is still there. That could be renovated. And agriculture's focus, agriculture as an agricultural training. We get almost 200 lawyers they qualified this year. And I say, who says anymore? I mean, if we get these graduates, now, my bank back, get my bank college to be the agricultural college. When Solomon Pratt go, he was an agricultural economist who fixed rice production in Poloko. The man, a good Poloko at the time when I've been just after left school, because somebody, one of the William brothers, maybe the big one, then in the station. Now that I check know how Poloko, how rice they grow. We get the potential. We get this. Okay, we get this bad problem with the land. Our land problem. If that our land problem they not solve, we in Sierra Leone not go get it. People go buy a Freetown. Yes, we can sell it Chinese, but we can buy land at Boo. My grandfather has been in Boo since 1922. We get land there, but we can't buy them. We sell one plot that you get from the problem will be passed. We can't now, we the Grand Peking cannot go and say, okay, this now we land, we want to buy, I want to buy more for invest, which I don't get na here for good day. I get cousins, I get brothers, I get we're in the position. And thanks to we go be in the position for buy land offline. McKinney only kind party, we not get the freedom for go invest in the land. How can we achieve these things? We cannot get the freedom to do the things. And yet we want it, we talk about equality. Go back to East Africa. The Rere in Jujuma project, this self-help project. Probably I not pronounce the Swahili word properly. But the idea was there. But what we have today, we have all these freedom fighters shooting and killing. There's no stability in Dar es Salaam. There's no stability in Botswana. We are seeing all sorts of things. Kenya, look at the infighting. How can Africa unite when we have these divisions? When we have this, we're still dependent. And when you try, you get the infiltrators, engineering, throwing our people out. Now, who gets Mali? And another one is amazing. Look what's happening in South Sudan. The day they get in place and block the man before you even start enjoying. There's a vim with them, with the whole team. Who follow them? Equatorial Guinea still in your position. They still absorb all the what you can get. Get one man then, now one place. So the Africa we will decide forget. How we will get them? When we cannot even produce. We are expert. Still small, I get a sense, we permit me the Commonable, permit me the Common Kelly, Bangadi Guna Freetown, stop it. There was a place there we come up to East today, where the jetty been given and they put the banga there for ship and when they ship them. Well or not, I see and what is small. Is that happening now? What about our cocoa projects? As I said, I have this affinity. I worked in SLP and also studied economic geography. In my banking studies, my first qualification as a chartered banker, was a chartered institute of bankers. One of the subjects was the economic geography. I benefited from that when I went back to university later on and do my degree in management science. One of my subjects was politics of international economics. We study all agriculture and all these little bits and pieces and all this IMF and World Bank stuff and all this nonsense. Plus policy. Our policies, ideas must be changed. Book fine. But is it practical? To be able to implement and translate this into reality. Our exports are nowhere close. And you talk about balance of payment, we depend on SDR and non-fictional functional money to balance of payment. How long will we work on this?
Right.
How long? So the Africa, it's a little one. We want to see progress. And we therefore be careful. We win at the diaspora, not the world will go back. But some of we still there in the touch. We there in the know. We make it our duty to understand daily what things go on. Somebody say to you, oh, well, I should go Peter. No, I'm not going to go. So there's technology. Let me really talk to you. People are watching all over the world. I'm not going to go. I know they can be now. Maybe they work in the bankruptcy office. You know what he did? He had to do something. He was a good civil servant. This journalism, we don't build them up only small.
Right.
So that kind of thing, now we have to do and put ourselves together and do what we think is best for we. Unless we focus on what is best for we.
Thank you so much.
You're not going to enjoy it.
Right. Thank you so much, Israel. We appreciate you. Well, you see, we tell us say today will be informative, exciting, and we will learn beaucoup. Sadly, I don't can learn something new today. Wait to make us say sadly, we always they talk about the oldest, university in a salon for a big college. For more they talk about the Athens of West Africa. One day, they not then tell we say, Mabang being host the oldest agricultural college in sub-Saharan Africa. Oldest in sub-Saharan Africa. We know you read they talk about them, but like I tell you now, say Ade Darami gets more information, get more archive material than the Sierra Leone Museum. Do we have a history library in Sierra Leone? I don't think so. We don't get.
We have just a library.
Yeah, we don't get, and I don't know what thing we get up now African studies if there is anything there. Then it all learn we other thing as well. Coca-Cola used to get their cola from Sierra Leone, the cola nuts where then they use for make Coca-Cola, where Femi be used as example now. So last week from Salon. What is wrong with Sierra Leone? The Africa where we want, whose kind salon where we want? Over to you, Yusuf Jallo. Let we try round up.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, how many hours of you production time we don't take? So one for big. Because we have to come back for the lecture. We have to can do the lecture for winner also. And make comparison with waiting we go land from Cape Verde, waiting Salon go land. So we're going to fish in it. That's one. Secondly, we hope say you will give you the opportunity for show the Amilcar Cabral documentary on Sierra Gem Media, if possible.
Yeah, I can give you my word on that. Yes.
Wonderful. Yes. I know Femi is a happy man right now. All right. Thank you. Over to you, Yusuf Jallo.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Wow, listening to all of this so wonderful, and I think we don't cover a really wide range of topics today, and I just want for for kind of bring me or wrap up just on a few notes them where I know about. Number one, first of all, when we're looking at heritage, what we look heritage, one issue where we get, and I think this particular issue affects majority of Africans south of the Sahara, is how we store we heritage. Maybe not the right word and they for use how we store them or keep them or preserve, maybe not the right word and they preserve we heritage for future, for posterity. A big problem for we. Knowing that quite a number of we heritage will get, especially in the indigenous art forms, whether it's carvings, them and so on. Plenty have been looted to other countries. We can talk of Nigeria, for example, with the Benin issue there. We can go among the Igbo people. There's so much stuff. If I just finish a program where I do concerning mostly on the Igbo people with a particular anthropologist called Northcote. And Northcote travel all the way to Nigeria among the Igbo them. They did then go Sierra Leone as well. Northcote, this is 100 years ago. Northcote spent time for take photographs, take so many artifacts, record stuff. All day sitting at Cambridge, one particular museum at Cambridge. So I get the opportunity for them to call me, make a be part of the one they will go put a story together for decolonize the narrative of the artifacts they did. So we put a whole story together. I mean, there's so much there. But also, this mask where people in the CBN, this Bondo mask, of course, get tremendous amount of controversy today. But I always look for put them beside me. Because I remember a few years back when I go na British Museum. In British Museum, there was an exhibition they would then call and say, the spirit of Sierra Leone. So when I go there, I wonder what the spirit of Sierra Leone. So when I go, of course, what I go see inside this space, we then put the Bondo mask inside there. Then call on the spirit. Like this, it slapped me right all over me one whole face. Spirit of Sierra Leone. In other words, the heartbeat, bang, bang, bang of Sierra Leone. That na the feminine, the woman, bang, nine can put up. The spirit of Sierra Leone, not inside Sierra Leone. It day inside other man place, inside other person country, thousands of miles away, locked away. And so they put all the pictures there and all that thing. Then so a few people left with the out, of course, they danced the beat drum, but we left the spirit of Sierra Leone, they inside the locked up. And I can say that to many other African artifacts that we will get all over. But also that even applied to me, we sit on England, yaso, and to plenty we Africa with the run come over na overseas, yaso, plenty with the run come over. And we can get stuck. We know they go back. Whether not because of paper or whether not because we don't get enough money for go bluff back or whatever there is inside. We all na that same spirit day of this Africa. We don't fasten na ya. Then when I left the one day, we okay. Let us move forward with that one day. We get dependency culture where we get for break away from. So, but how do we break away from there? This important we will then isolate with go back. I mean, one of the things we admire so much when I see Mr. Darami. I know the year where I meet Mr. Darami now, so Mr. Fresh na England. And I don't go through meal time, but now for seeing Mr. Darami in Africa, giving his knowledge there. That's very, very important. So one of my main aim there, I always tell me picking there, I say, my body no more sidoyaso. Me one old spirit now in a way, it don't cost, don't go over. Now, when I did do me festival day, talking about passing knowledge over to the young ones, I go to the Kamakwe Wesleyan Secondary School. I give a talk to the whole assembly. I ask them, I say, almost pauna wants money. Everybody say, yeah, but wants money. I say, wait in a money. And they all say, well, money, the la job, the paper. I say to them, no, that not to money. I said to them, money na the reward where you get for offering a service. Now they all see the reward, but they not see the part where I talk about offering a service. So now I tell them, say, what if una can do kakabila business? They all boss laugh for say this brother. What in this brother they talk about for do kakabila business? Now I tell them, say, kakabila business now multi-trillion business both na Europe and America. I say now all the people they say yes. They use the proper toilet seats. Not many of them, but I say then, what if una 5, 6, 7 of una who go na kamakuya so poto e dey free, the clay e dey free, water e dey free, sand e free. What if una can make a cast? Then una dey make toilet seats for people left for sit down conveniently. Freetown, the rich man toilet, then they sell 350,000 at the time. Now probably they are on 500,000. I say, Uda they give una 500,000 for the year. Yeah, we have 500,000 for the year. Yeah, na come okay, where they are big. Now I say, well then, with that toilet seat, if una sell one seat no more, 100,000, then for the month una sell just 5 toilet seats. All man kaka na come okay. People in and build houses. If not 5 per month, una say na 500,000 per month. And they watch me. They yell like. So it was like then thing to say a joke, but I would tell them, say, na serious business. It's a reality. Now, if we push on from Dande, because Dande go help make them move away from the dependency, because they feel to say unless they get flush toilet, then they not get toilet. Wait, I don't know most part now. I don't go China. If you go China, when I go China, I go sit down at one restaurant. Where I go, guess what's in the day? Max the old toilet. Not China. The restaurant fine for sit down for it. Where you gonna max the old toilet? Tile, nice one. Where I go India, same thing again. The hotel who's are lodged in India, max the whole toilet. So all I'm just saying, and I'm not saying they not get flush toilet. Of course they get. But what I'm saying is that they make use of waiting there and improve and fine. Then they can take away from this dependency culture. My daughter asked me, he said, Papa, who's kind architecture na get na your village? I said, architecture. Na my village na kamakuye eh. Now my daughter said that. He said, you are thinking exactly the way they want you to think. The penny dropped. Because I think of architecture, I did see glass buildings. I did see that high building. I totally don't forget, say, we build and structure them with the mud and then in a day. It's perfectly designed for our environment. On top of that, we structure them environmentally friendly and sustainable. Because if we structure them breakdown, then they melt inside the environment. They pollute the environment. And they can easily build back up again. Then I begin to understand the value of which people in on the bill. Because then it takes me to the next question. Because when we talk about the Africa we will see, we cannot talk without talking about how we sustain the environment. Then I had to ask, what did our people know many, many thousands of years? We make them able to keep the environment, the water clean, fish plenty, forest plenty, monkey there everywhere. Anybody way old enough like me, where you go come up with them first and the monkey then they can't be in we yard. I don't care. I remember very well why I go, I don't care. Only this BN and the why I go there. I take me, Bobo, I can go watch monkey there. BN, I don't care. Now not they see none anymore. What is it that we people know when they maintain the environment? So, as an African people, how do we define our own civilization? How do we define our own structure? How do we define that we work for we? So, people are homeless in Freetown and in most cities because we're not use with local materials anymore. We say dirty block before we begin to talk about cement block. You understand me? Dirty block because now backward business. And it's very important because if we governments then focus on using these materials, nobody will be homeless. We could build proper, affordable housing that is cheap and quick to build. Finally, before I go, because I try to look at this dependency factor for say we look within. Finally, we have to look as well other organizations that we then already where they work very hard for help for push some of these dreams forward, like the ADDI, African Diaspora Development Institute by Dr. Arikana Chiombori. That woman is pushing forward a major agenda for try for make we establish we an African bank, we an African currency, but also bring together a collection of African professionals from engineers to you name them, so that they can also get the first bid whenever African governments want to put a tender out to build a bridge or whatsoever. But that organization can say, tap into us. We have our people in here. Not called Chinese, not called this, not called that. We have our own experts. So we get to begin to look within and see what it is we can also do and have always been doing for many, many years. So for me, that is where I will wrap this talk from.
Thank you so much. And, can go to the two guys that round up quickly or left Mr. Diami for go. And before I go to now, somebody make mention, because we talk about the cola nuts. I like to watch the chats group. They say, cola nut was a good business as it was my father's trade, and he uses it to support his family and friends. But then the person go back for ad say, but now PhD is a big trade in Sierra Leone. So PhD that the big trade that we don't replace cola nut.
So please condom.
Yeah, Tibo, over to you, round up, and Femi, then I'll close.
Interesting conversation. I think everybody don't make very, very important points we don't learn from all the panelists, Mr. Ade, Mr. Israel, and of course, we Yusuf Jallo. Don't give you a lot of contribution towards the development strategy. They say Africa for fall into for make we for move forward. And somebody make mention of the produce they will don't get in a salon and the agricultural advantages the way Mr. Israel don't highlight earlier on. And he also mentioned the cacao show. I think the last few stages of the cacao show in Kenya was put together by my dad because he was so much passionate about agriculture, and he believes that trade should not just die out because during those days, and they make sure say they plant cassava, it grow, and they harvest them on the same day, just for sure the trend at which agriculture can be developed in so many different ways. But going back to the other aspects of somebody who mentioned piassava, I don't think many civilians know exactly what's in a piassava. And piassava was highly, highly produced alongside the Bond region. That not been them perfect, stable agricultural produce will be the commodity. But like I say, very few Sierra Leoneans knew about that because now trade and we don't exist for long. Of course, cola now one major thing with me personally don't benefit from a village. Of course, cacao and coffee. During the days, there will be the go to village Kangama, will be they actually go and produce denting in the and make sure we're able for harvest. Then they will be legal to pocket money from, because it was a trade that is well known within we own particular region because we not get diamond, we don't discover. So we focus was mainly on agriculture. So like my papa spend extensive time for make sure that agricultural aspect of voting Kangama stand for no die out. We're still there in existence. But looking at all the things they all don't talk about in terms of how Africa can grow and develop for make we able for reach towards the standard of what we look at. Somebody make mention at the chat say, why make Africa always want for be like the West? And that's a very good question. Do we want to be like the West, or do we want to be ourselves? Do we have value for what we are? Because when we try to be like the West, that means we kill everything African. We kill everything we get through culture. We kill everything we get the value of who that we be. We kill absolutely everything Africa because we want to be like the West. So we get to think about what's in that thing that we actually get value towards. What's in that thing that actually will make changes towards. How can we effect those changes? I mean, going back to Sierra Leone and effect changes, yes, it might work, but you need collective minds of people who will think alike for able to understand, say, we have to work collectively. we have to work in collaboration. We can't work against each other. Yes, we might have different views and different opinions, but at the same time, we also look at how can we work collaboratively without affecting the goal. The main goal is for Africa or for Sierra Leone to develop, for me to be able to reach that middle income or possibly top income country with the inside West Africa. But me always believe, say, yes, the African leaders, when at the main discussion for we program today, don't actually let Africa down, because the great people that we come up with this OAU of the Africa we want for look like. Now the people that we, most of them studying at the UK, they're all in almost the same type of universities, they're all graduated together, and they're all left Europe, especially UK, for go back to Africa and effect some of this change. So that is why it was done collaboratively within that era, because they all get the same mindset. They all studied in England. They've seen the differences of how English people are actually treating Africans when they were here, and they made the top universities then. So they use that set of platform. They say, well, okay, look, we all go back and we all go represent that with different countries then and try for effect this change. So what's in me, they look at that kind of replica, the fact say, there are so many political parties in Sierra Leone where they make so much difference in terms of what in around for them. If we want to make a change, I have said this like years and years ago, there should be an amount of Sierra Leoneans that will not ever get involved in active politics, strategically place themselves, distribute themselves in all the different regions then, and then go physically work with the people. Change the mindset, make them understand the mindset of achieving something, not just with the influence of the outside communities they will depend on as the Europeans them or the Americans, but also within our own reach, within our own capacity. Look, we make use of we own raw materials, we own local contents them, as Yusuf will say. We don't build mud houses no more than call them poto houses, but those mud houses can preserve the heat, can preserve coal, can preserve the water, can preserve the food. Look, remember those days, food not they got in a village. It has to make you see food got in a village, because they use the temperature and the amount of materials then when they use for building houses them, the coal pots them, the clay pots them, and then they preserve most of them thing also. So we get for begin look at them thing and they will we get as value for look we able for preserve and we able for make the culture develop. It cannot be done overnight. Collectively, yes, it is possible. So I would like to extend thanks and appreciation to most of the people who are joining at the YouTube and the Facebook. And there's been a lot of positive contributions then. And one thing we are for make mention that when we very first few viewers, they make mention, say, how comes we have a platform full of men and we're talking about African Union and we don't have any female representation? I laughed about it. But again, it was a very serious issue. Yeah. But I said to the person, well, as Africans, we got to begin look at the mindset of the female participation in developing Africa. Some African countries, then they push the woman in before. We don't care for push women in before. But when you look at the historical part of what we want to talk about today, very few African women are actually involved in some of this kind of discussion, especially when we want to make reference to Sierra Leone. And we approach, and when we make these approaches, most of them are shying away from coming on board and having these discussions because they feel that their role is not going to make any difference. But it is a mistake, because for as long as we begin to push ourselves at the back as individuals, it means we're not going to make a difference because we don't already believe, say, we roles not going to make no difference. But if we continue for engage, continue for be part of the discussion in a way entails female participation, then it will give audience to the younger ones to be part of it. So if the older generation are still shying away, where is the role models?
Right. Thank you.
So let's look at the context of what will make a difference in female participation. I totally agree to say, yes, we should have at least a woman on board this platform for showcase the other strides of development.
Well, women, not just a woman.
Well, women. But if we not get women, how we get women? So basically, we'll get for look at the number for look able for Goam. But I will not take sole responsibility as a member of the group for make sure say yes we get that, because we always they reach out, we always they approach, and I make mention to the person we highlight the question, say, well, You said I'm one of the people who don't try to reach out to a few times, but you're not available. And it's not a discussion that we don't get in the past. But I totally understand the point where they make. But let me continue for engage in this kind of discussion. I'm very happy that Mr. Ade and Mr. Israel was part of this discussion today, because we believe, say, there are wealth of knowledge in how they don't see how African Union done day from inception to now. Then we're able for actually give you a proper insight of that development going back in the days, which is definitely what we expect and not forget. So I go out for say thank you to them for their great time where they able for give it to me today, especially Mr. Adi. Very hard to forget all of. Well, not go time for Chelsea. We'll go Chelsea every games.
BBC man.
Very, very busy. But we can understand, again, taking this sort of decision to go out and do things on your own, self-funded, is not an easy thing to do. And we always admire you for that. And the knowledge of which you're able to create that kind of impact in the not to anything where anybody can pay for. Somebody asked a question earlier when we don't make mention about the relics and the monuments of African values they're already all over the world. We don't make mention, see, one for puts together for look, we get a museum online. So I just make reference to the person say, well, you don't answer that question now because you don't make mention of them. But definitely, the resources at which you don't put together so many things within the continent is of vital importance. I will advise, please, put it out so that we can have access to it. Because, again, access to material is vital. Look, we continue for the tap into those resources.
For a point of correction, he puts it out every day.
Yes, I know. Say he puts them out every day. But say we Africans are very low in terms of gravitating these things and making
that's our responsibility. He's done his part. Let's do our part.
Yeah. What he make at the say so, the responsibility of Africans for go spend money is quicker than the responsibility of Africans for knowledge.
Okay.
So again,
are we surprised why Cape Verde is there, Rwanda is there, and
thank you.
Sierra Leone?
Ade has transformed from a musical historian,
exactly,
to a more contemporary historian.
Well,
if you know Ade from beginning, it's in records there.
Sure.
There's so much record that I remember saying a record person, but you can't eventually overtake me.
Mr. Na history, na history aids Sidon. Even Mr. Izia, you ain't Sidon, so I will definitely tell you, say very few Sierra Leoneans know your background as a musician. Very few.
I know.
Very few. These are some of the things we need to go into. Let's tap into our resources.
I wrote a piece about my band when I was in there. He wrote the thing about, and he actually named nearly everybody in the band. In the mid-60s, when we were playing for the Quinesters, he actually knew. And his musical history, his history background is absolutely fantastic. Even though I'm a teacher in guitar.
You see, somebody make mention of workshop. I think that's vital on the chat, because even if not online workshop, look, we continue for the whole on to the thing also, because it will create a difference. Because when you pass on one knowledge to certain group of people, we will run with it. They will run with it. Because we get for engage the mindsets. Because if we don't engage the mindset intellectually in terms of the resources that we have, we will lose out.
All right, thank you so much, T-Boy. Femi, I'll go over to you, but there's a message here for the panel, and I would like to read them out, so then we read food for thoughts there. Kate Akoswa Nasrallah say, where are all these beautiful or great minds when Sierra Leone is perishing? I love listening to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs.
That's a compliment there from one of our guests. And over to you, Mr. Palmer.
Before you round up, yeah?
All right, Juma, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, I hope people on YouTube and Facebook can hear me. We've spoken well. All man don't talk you. Really and truly, I knew we had a good show today, but I'm amazed. I learned. I've been no sage for land. That team of Coca-Cola, you no go believe say I no be no. That other school way, Mr. Israel tell we say we during the war for Abbey College be moved go. I didn't know. I didn't know the technical school was part of Cathedral School. I didn't know there's so many things that I've learned today. Eden Park, I've heard about Eden Park. I've not been noticing this concert hall we play go to. I knew it was in Cape Verde. I knew it was like a renowned building, but I never knew exactly what it was. But I still boys see, you know, we black people, we don't read enough. We get bogged down in chasing money, and as Yusuf was saying, money na the reward for services, but we know they really get the reward because now chicken change now with the cheese. So sometimes, you know, as Africans, we need to learn to read some more. And if people like Mr. Ade and co put stuff out in the public, it's our duty to go fend here. So we need to research, you know, especially Boko, if we don't go university, don't get with first degree. I believe say inside your first degree, waiting they teach you now how for research. You know, how for go get information.
Anyway, they do
and we need to do that. In Africa, a lot of stuff within they teach you now for just cram and repeat. But we kind of decided they actually teach you inside your first degree in how for go find that information. So most of we supposed to know. So let's go out there and find it. You know, we pray that our leaders then go understand what it mean for keep records. You know, I went to school in Sierra Leone, secondary school, and I remember when we go library, I get library card. I went to Sierra Leone on holiday. I go past the library. I was so embarrassed at our library. It's ridiculous. I don't talk just now, but we museum. Really and truly, I don't know if not the Ministry of Education, Ministry of culture, but you get boku big man them. We ought to know better. They're more educated than some of us. But yet, some of them not they do what they're supposed to do.
Juma, when a family donation that a museum do, let we give credit to the person we actually set up. The person we actually set up. The one Peace Corps, who in the teaching academy, we popular on social media, named Gary Schultz. I go research her. Even the music, then the local Sierra Leone music, with Balanji style music, it help we with own music teacher, Ms. Vanove. He collect all the music then he put it in the Smithsonian Institute. You can Google it, you can get some of it. You can hear the music, Colon music, doesn't mean to say Colon Mendede. Colon Mendede music, and all the Balanji, them, all the instruments. Them. Research it in a Smithsonian. Almost people know.
Wow. And we they give assignment that could be called. One of the assignments in this in the journalist department that for search for write about Sierra Leone musical instruments. Oh Lord.
I was approached and I find when I push all the you see we don't know what the male part. You will know. We should not answer that question. The male Shegure. What do you need? Well, again, you need.
See? Well, this, if you don't round up, go ahead, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for adding to that.
So, yeah. So, as I've been saying, it's important that we do our work and get to know things that were important for make we find the Africa we really look for. If not for we picking them and we can picking them. I want to close up by asking a question to our learned men, because I don't know the answer. But before I ask the question, I will read something. Sometimes I don't sing them, but I know I be sing. So I read, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, because none of them can stop the time.
Man.
The great man wrote those words. My question to you guys is, did he ever perform it in Africa? And if he did, unable to tell me how we the Africans receive him? That's my last word for today. Mindset change.
Performed it in Zimbabwe.
That's exactly what I was going to say. In Zimbabwe independence.
You don't get the answer to it, Femi?
1980 is in Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe, okay. Can we name for our guests something they don't know it will be talking?
So you all of them highlights within the what you read within the bought and
Mali song.
Yeah, and if we can get a performance, that would be great.
I love to sing that.
Oh, pirates, yes, they robber. Okay, hold on. I'll bring me Congo, man.
Close. Well, whilst Yusuf, they bring the Kongoma for close with that, we want to say thank you to panelists them, and we appreciate Una all, and definitely Una, they guest them as well. I think it's been a successful program. We'll continue. Tomorrow we're going to be here as well. Over to you, Yusuf.
So I just want to make a quick mention of the GoFundMe stuff we put about last week for raise fund for the Kangama-Gorama storm appeal. That is still ongoing, and they also get the American chapter. We don't start. Like I said last week, a few days ago, we'll post that information there out online. But so far, we've raised about £220 on the GoFundMe page and $245 on the account. So basically, we're still trying very hard to reach our target within our £5,000. And I will give more updates on that within the next couple of shows that they get. But don't move the target time to end of the month. So basically, we did do some consultation, and then we can get back to the beneficiaries in Akono, Kangama-Gorama specific in the next couple of days. So we're going to have more updates on that as we move along this week. Thank you. Over to you guys.
Yusuf, over to you.
All right, family, let's end it now. Oh, pirates, yes, they rob I. Sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. But my hands were made strong by the hands of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing the songs of freedom? Is all I ever had. Redemption song. Redemption song. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Oh, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing the songs of freedom? It's all I ever had. Redemption songs. Oh, redemption songs. Redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Whoa! Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing the songs of freedom? It's all I ever had. Redemption song.
Thank you so much, Yusuf Jallo, the Kafut Prince. And definitely we're not going to end Africa Day 2021, where the theme they talk about arts, culture, and heritage as the levers for building the Africa we want. We not talk about music, we're not part of our life. We don't talk about the controversy there, we don't grumble and everything, but we agree, say there is hope, we not for lose hope. And we determine for move Africa forward as a people, as a continent, and we for grow. So we will be here with you tomorrow. And tomorrow we will be a bit controversial because that topic they don't come up. We're gonna be discussing the Black Johnson land, and we will open the phone line. Let's hear what you think. The reason being, because we can like sometimes for wait. Conversation and don't go on. People in FCA don't forget. Everything has been normalized. Sierra Leoneans, they don't move on as always. Nobody no go ask questions. But we'll be here tomorrow discussing that. 55 million, they really spend $55 million for buy. Who that sell? Who side the money day? And now for waiting and sell for if they really sell. So all that conversation and we will get now so tomorrow. God bless our guests. We appreciate now. Stay blessed wherever you are.
Finally, we end up this way.
All right.
Every man got the right to decide his own destiny. Cause in his judgments there is no partiality. So arm in arms we come to fight against the trouble. So brothers, you're right. So right. We go fight, we'll have to fight. We go fight, we're gonna fight. Fight for our right. To divide and rule could only tear us apart. All right.
Thank you.
Good night.
I love you. I love the music you today. I'm for pulling guitar. Thank you, Juma. Thank you, Femi.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate you.
And good to see you anyway. Keep it up in there. I will come visit you on it. Yusuf, you put one information why not being even know say now you connected. One day one program, yes, you said something where I will phone you. I know we're talking about this program. I will phone you. I mean, when you said it, then I realized, oh, okay, I was meeting you.
Okay, no problem, sir. No problem.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, everybody. I have to go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, good night.
I still lecture. I don't get classes.
Stay blessed.
Now, who's term this? Yes, this na term for all Salon people and then party them. Sarah Jem Media will be bringing you a variety of programs ranging from documentaries to discussions, interviews, news, views, sports, and entertainment. Our programs will contain matters on development, governance, the economy, and issues that are of importance to Sierra Leone. So, no left BNO because we get Bebe program then like salon discussion, meets the ministers, the president's hour and the Gladi program. Look me, I look you. All this they start soon na www.sarahjemmedia.org. Now who's term these? Somebody.
When I was young, a lot of things were different. Unfortunately, most of the differences seen now are heartbreaking and are not good at all.
Before now, men were strong protectors of the weak, fathers, brothers, lovers, sons. Their mere presence guaranteed the safety of women and children.
But what do we do now?
Men harassing and raping women.
Men sexually abuse little girls.
Men battering and killing their wives.
Any form of sexual assault, be it rape, sexual abuse, or pedophilia, is a killer to human self-esteem.
Women should stop dying in silence.
Speak now.
The rapist should be stigmatized, not the victim.
I think death sentence should be the consequence of such terrible acts.
And you mothers, build confidence in your children, put trust in them, listen to them when they make reports, and take necessary actions.
Talking of mothers before now, women were virtuous.
They were mothers, daughters, and sisters.
Nurturing, counseling, supporting their men folks.
But now, women are trafficking female children for money.
Women are forced to be silenced.
All this must stop, and it must stop now.
Real men do not abuse, rape, or molest women and children. It is barbaric, unacceptable. Let all real men stand with us.
Together, let's say an emphatic no to rape, sexual abuse, pedophilia, and domestic violence. The total population of Sierra Leone in 2019 was stated approximately at 7.8 million. And the most common cancer reported in 2018 was breast cancer, with an incidence rate of 25.1% and a mortality rate of 19.2%. Ward 2 at the Connaught Hospital, Freetown, is a female surgical ward that cares for patients requiring breast surgery, chemotherapy, and palliative care. General surgery also admits to the ward as see fit. The ward is in need of a significant refurbishment and has a major impact on patient assessment and delivery of treatment, dignity, comfort, and infection control measures. The current ward area presents a significant challenge to infection control. There is no fit for purpose or adequate personal hygiene facilities. The showers and sanitary areas are in poor condition and are difficult to clean. The flooring is deteriorated. Overall deco and fabric of the walls need repair and full decoration. Furniture, cupboards, and shelving require replacement. The sluice, known to be the dirty utility room, is in poor condition and needs replacing. Windows need to be replaced as current windows bring in draughts, dust, debris, mosquitoes, and rodents. There is no designated area to provide a day service for patients receiving chemotherapy. Medical supplies is desperately needed. Therefore, we need a total amount of £15,000, which is equivalent to 195 million leones, for this project. This project will focus on women diagnosed with breast cancer and other non-malignant breast abnormalities requiring one or more of the treatment modalities that are currently available. We will also set up a day unit for the administration of chemotherapy and provide training and development to ensure sustainability. Therefore, I am pleading to all individuals, organizations, and local businesses, and every Sierra Leonean and friends of Sierra Leone to make a meaningful contribution that will never go in vain. Ways to contribute will be seen at the end of this clip. I am Aisata Sisejalo of the Health Show Partnership Program. Remember, your health is your wealth.
Hello, my name is Josephine Kamara. I'm the founder of You Can Do It Foundation. You Can Do It Foundation is a charitable organization based in Sierra Leone, West Africa. You Can Do It Foundation has been in existence for the past 2 years. We have been fighting gender-based violence against women and girls within the community. During the past 2 years, we have been offering psychosocial support, counseling, court fee, medical fee, including school items to the survivors of gender-based violence. However, during the lockdown of COVID-19, report received and confirmed that rape cases among a minor has increased tremendously within our community. Because of this, You Can Do It Foundation has secured the land to build an accommodation for the survivors of rape. However, this may almost become impossible without your generous support. We need your help to build this home for the survivors. Your help could be in cash or in kind. If you wish to join us to make a difference in a child's life, please go to our website, which is www.youcandoitcyf.org, or you can go to our GoFundMe page, which is Home of Hope for the Survivors of Gender-Based. Or you can contact us with the details at the end of this video. We thank you greatly for your generous support, and thank you once more for making a difference in a child's life.
Nina Yvonne Akisoya, and 11th May 2021 make me 3 years we are on day in office. I say let I come and tell Freetonians them una boku boku tenki for where una elect me and when give me this mandate for serve una. But I not just want to tell una thank you for when I elect me, I want to tell una thank you for what una don't work with me and work with the councillors, work with the staff of Freetown City Council, work with so many stakeholders, including the central government, the international partners, the local partners. I want to tell una, the Freetonians, and thank you, but I want to tell all the other groups and the boku boku tenki. Together, we embark on a journey for Transform Freetown, and in nobody not been say it go easy. We published the plan in January 2019, and then in January 2020, we published our first year report, and then in January 2021, we don't publish with 2-year report. Inside the reports and day, you go able for read in much more detail, waiting we don't achieve. But family them, I still just share today some of the things that really make me heart gladdy, pan this walk here. One thing we're really glad about, now the wastewater treatment plant, where we don't build, na King Tom. This is not the first time ever in the history of Salone for let we get the thing we come on with toilet. Instead of it just gonna grow na King Tom, it actually go into a plant where they get for separate the solid from the liquid and get for treat them and waiting get for come out can go towards manure. It can now be safely, the liquid can now safely be disposed into the waterways. Another practical thing we are so glad for, now this urban farming project, we bring over 300, in fact we start with 300, now we add another 200 women them, we now at them backyard them and in community level, particularly in the deprived communities.
And you can create this, where you give, the okra they come up, they will plant them.
The women they do farming projects where go benefit them picking them, for get more nutritious food, but it go also help them for get small thing at the hand as they sell them in the market. And then their nursery school. Famble then go no say we've been not open the one at Congo Water Market for make vulnerable women them and their young picking it under the age of 5 get free quality preschool care. And now we dip and build the second one. We do refurbishment upstairs in the Colonial Road Market, and that facility will be open and available to women and men traders inside Colonial Road Market. Tricycles. Well, then tricycle and they not only then they help for keep we city clean, they also they create employment. We don't create so far over 1,200 jobs with young people then where they go and collect dirty na the streets. And now we get 90 more where they come on stream. So I'm so happy because it increased the capacity for collect dirty. At the same time, it increased the number of people them, young people that we get work. Let not talk about the transfer station when a day the dirty then they go. So we don't get 4 additional ones, including the one at Lumley, the one at Approved School, the one at Shell, and the one at Allentown. Bele Uman them. Then they all over the community. That journey for going at PCMH, it can challenge Boko of them. So we work for upgrade 5 of we PHUs them for make them be monk, side with side Bele Uman, the able for born. Freetown people them, Boku people that know say dog na challenge na this city. And so we don't start a program for sterilize, vaccinate the dogs them so that we go get control over dogs and we the ambog motaman, but we the ambog themselves. We go make we city healthier and it go reduce the risk for let people then get us sick with and call rabies. I don't share small about wait we don't do and over these 3 years, but I just touch the thing in Boku. I go say anybody want for no more. Also go now with Facebook page. We get Freetown City Council Facebook page. We also get Yvonne Akisoya, Mayor of Freetown. You go able for follow we. Let we continue for work together with all we stakeholders for let collectively we transform Freetown. Una, thank you and God bless you.
Na Yvonne, Na Yvonne, talk and go, talk and come.